Better hurry up because we are theoretically live. And we're having a
We're-
mushroom party.
Can you
We're
bring this
live?
down?
Yeah, we're live.
Well,
Supposed to be.
yeah, I like being live and eating crackers when we're live.
Well,
Especially,
your better half is sitting right behind you. I'm sure that's to smack you in the back of the head.
well, I mean, there seems to be a little bit of controversy about eating while we're doing our show. Or
There is no controversy.
All right, so I got the YouTube notification. So in theory, we can watch you eat on YouTube. Let me check over here on Facebook
Well-
and see if we're live there.
the unfortunate part of this is I no longer have anything to eat, but there are people tuning in, and hello, y'all. Good evening. We're just kind of jacking around here a little bit.
Yeah, so
Jack Wagon.
yeah, jack wagons. Let's get that out there right off the bat. So we've got several things to talk about. We've got the city council meeting. We're going to kind of rehash some of the special meeting stuff. I've got to do a little correcting of our city attorney tonight as well. And I was going to do it at the meeting this afternoon, but I didn't go to the meeting. I had to deal with, pesky technical customer type stuff.
Well, and we're going to have some breaking news. We're going to share some information tonight regarding the city of Bossier that you can only count on two hands the number of people that know about the information that we're going to share. And I would advise everybody watching that it's information that's going to be pertinent to every taxpayer in arguably Bossier Parish.
Yeah, I mean, well, like you said, only a very, 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 very small handful of people know about this. So I'm going to loosely label it as breaking news, so to speak. I wasn't aware of it till you brought it to my attention.
Well, I will go out on a limb here and say that once we put this out here, that you will end up hearing it on the mainstream media, on, the news media are going to pick up on it, everybody, 3, 6, 12, all of them. And, it's definitely going to be a story. And, but more importantly, I want to just say to everybody, it explains some things of why some people in local government act the way that they act. And, but more importantly, it's another example of, the lack of transparency, informing the public and not wanting you to know, not wanting you to be informed. My opinion is that you all should have known and you should have been informed.
Well, it's because all of us folks out here and all you folks that go to the meetings and comment, you're just so ignorant. Shame on you. You should know better. You need to get a college education.
They need to get a damn education. You're absolutely right.
I
couldn't
agree.
agree more. I've heard that recently too.
Yeah, that's going to be our new mantra on the show. Everybody needs to get a college education or dare not speak publicly at a meeting, period. At least in the city of Bossier.
Look, or stay in a Holiday Inn.
I acknowledge I'm a Rhodes Scholar of Stupidville. I mean, I acknowledge that, and I don't know that if that'll meet the standards or not, though. I'm not quite sure.
I don't know. Look, I'm a college dropout. There's no doubt about it. I went in for Chem E. My dad bought me a business, and by the time I got that business rolling in about 18 months, I was making more than the Chem E's coming out with a 4-year degree. But I guess that doesn't qualify for me to speak at any of the meetings either.
Yeah, no doubt. So I don't know whether we want to go ahead and go to our break.
Sure.
I think we need to ask people to help us out and share. I'm curious as if people shared the show because there's going to be some content that the citizens of Bossier need to know. This needs to get spread around, and people need to they need to know this. They need to be informed.
Yeah, they do. And I would encourage, well, we've had some shenanigans. There's one of my favorite words with Facebook and being able to share the show the last couple of weeks. So we're going to ask everybody to try it, but you may get some nasty grams from Facebook. But if nothing else, tag people in and let's play tag your favorite city council critter and get them to watch the show too, because I think they're going to cringe when some of this information is revealed about how the taxpayers are going to be on the hook for the city's, I'm calling it, mistake. Would that be a good word?
I don't know. I don't know that you could a mistake. I think that's too simplified. I mean, this is pretty egregious, and
that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS.
We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks. Through conscious shocking actions, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr. In theory, you know, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. Okay, so I got a report in one of the comments that YouTube doesn't seem to be up, but I just went to the YouTube channel and YouTube is working.
all right. Well, we're back.
Yeah, we're back. So hopefully it let us share out. We get a few extra folks. If not, well, folks, we're just have to ask y'all to work a little bit harder and tag some folks and bring them in.
Well, hello, Miss Price. Hello, Miss Sellers, Miss Dunn, Miss Ulrich, Val Baker, Cassie Rogers. Looks like a lot of folks are in and tuned in and ready to rumble, I guess you would say.
I'll put a couple of names up there real quick. Hit a few random ones. Judy Stewart, you may mention that. Let's see. Kimberly Sellers says her YouTube is working now. Okay, good. So, glad to have everybody's technology working at least somewhat. All right. Where shall we go first? I mean, we've kind of got some notes. And I've got a couple of things that I want to point out. So, John Settle had an article that says, the premise of it was, should amateur journalists and media stand up and pray and recite the pledge? Now, he wasn't talking about the amateurs per se. He was talking about, you know, the news media or the independent journalists and all that. And apparently there was a little bit of controversy at one. You have to go read his article on Settle Talk. But Duke, when you're there at one of these, at any of these meetings, and you're there to cover the meeting, do you bow your head and pray? Do you say the Pledge of Allegiance? What's your protocol?
What do you mean? What is my protocol? I mean, you're asking like there's a question of whether you do or whether you don't.
Well, I'm going to say something that may shock you, so I'm asking what you do.
I don't think there's a question. What are you fixing to go down this road of separation of church and state?
No, not really. Oh. Although I do find it
really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go down that road. Not that I agree with it. I understand the premise behind the separation of church and state. I think it's just hypocritical that everybody raises the separation of church and state unless you're in the Supreme Court or at any government function where they say the prayer. All of a sudden, the separation of church and state is out the window. I understand the original meaning and intent of the separation statement that was made, if I remember my history right, by Jefferson, and understand why he made it. And the whole thing has been taken way out of context by the, let's just say, modern liberal left. But I digress. Back to the question. So when the prayer comes up, like at the city council meeting, prayer comes up, Pledge of Allegiance, what do?
I pray.
Okay. And I want to ask, what does everybody do in the public? Let us know in the comments. What do you guys do? All right. And look, I got to say, I kind of made fun of Lee Jeter at one of the, you know, more kind of recent charter commission meetings because I reminded everybody where the Pledge of Allegiance came from and the hand over the heart deal. The pledge actually was started by a devout socialist named Jim Bellamy back in the late 1800s. He was a devout socialist, and they used to. You did the pledge with the old Heil Hitler style thing like that, and that was changed on the rise of Hitler. Now, that's a true story. But I still say the pledge, and I taught my kids to say the pledge. But my purpose of this is...
I was fixing to say, okay.
Let me get to the point. So, if I'm there covering the meeting and there to commentate, I absolutely... Which is not a real word, but I absolutely bow my head, say a prayer, say the Pledge of Allegiance. If I'm there videoing, I generally don't. I maintain the camera because sometimes I want to get a shot if one of our elected officials is doing something on their phone or any such shenanigans as that during the prayer or the Pledge of Allegiance. So I have to admit, I don't always bow my head and I don't always say the pledge. It depends on the circumstance. Does that make me a heathen?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just, to each his own. I'm not going to judge somebody as to whether or not they are or they're not or whatever. If they choose to not, at the end of their days, that's going to be on them. If that's not for me to decide. Oh,
God knows their heart. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So, all right. With all that silliness said, he also had another article, and this is going to relate to what we're going to talk about here in just a little bit, but sales tax revenues are down overall across a lot, if not most, municipalities and taxing authorities. I would attribute that to the inflation.
Duh.
Yeah.
I mean, who knew? I mean,
yeah. Who could have guessed that?
I'm so surprised. I think we reported that a long time ago.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, go to Settle Talk. You can read those articles, but that's going to relate to some of what we're going to talk about this evening. But I got to ask you a question first.
Okay.
So,
duh.
A bunch of does tonight. We're just randomly talking. I noticed that your better half is sitting back there watching over you like a hawk.
Well, she's the damn food police.
Yeah, she's keeping you in line. Yeah. But y'all have also been up to something lately. What did y'all, what would that be?
We have been up to something lately. And, look, I can't take any credit for it. I'm going to have to defer to my no food eating wife. Because she put this thing together. I mean, and so as a lot of y'all may or may not know, in the past, and Rex, you were a part, you were involved in these things, like back during Katrina, and then you had the floods over there in Baton Rouge. We put together a lot of efforts to collect donations and to help, in disaster type stuff. And, kind of while we were in the throes of charter commission stuff and fighting elections on behalf of the citizens of Bossier, I guess you could say, Miss Lowry here was collecting donations, and a lot of people stepped up, and that effort kind of came to a conclusion since, I don't know, last week and yesterday. We actually got back yesterday, right?
Yesterday evening.
Yeah. So, I'll let Kara kind of talk about a little bit about what we did, and so people can kind of know. And we actually went to North Carolina and firsthand, and we can kind of tell y'all firsthand from somebody that a face that you recognize. What did we see? What did we hear? what's the real deal, because there's so much crap on the internet now. You don't know what to believe anymore. I mean,
Yeah, take it
so
away, Kara. Give us a firsthand account of what it was like taking some much needed supplies, I'm sure, up there.
Well, and even logistically, locally, whenever we're collecting, I forget about what an amazing experience even the collection part is. I get to see a lot of people that I haven't seen in a while. We get to touch base on their stories. Every single time we collect, I always have an instance of where someone's spouse has passed, and they can touch me, they can hug me, they can say, you know what, I know that when I give these things to you, they're going to go by and go to directly to people who can use them. And so we don't take that trust lightly. We take that, of course I take pretty much everything serious, but that's super serious. And then also the logistics of then getting it there. My poor husband, I bring him coffee every morning in bed, but he sure puts up with a lot, and he usually goes along with all of my shenanigans that I come up with, and kind of, I didn't have to pull him or jerk him along in this, but he came along willingly. But logistically, getting the stuff in the field, with it being this far away, this is not New Orleans, this is not Baton Rouge, this is not South Bossier. This is a very, very, very long time, a long way away. And so not only did we have people donating items, specific, detailed items to get to the Helene affected folks, but we also had people donate money to also assist us with gas, with getting there, because I'm not really. I come up with these ideas, and then it's going to work out, and we're just going to make it happen. And that's what we usually do. And I honestly had not even considered how many times we would have to fill up pulling, pulling a trailer that far. So very, very thankful for those of you who donated that as well. But getting in, everything is so, and all of y'all are seeing on the internet, you are seeing all of the stories, you're seeing all of the videos, and it's quite overwhelming. Even once you get there, and then quite frankly, as strange as this may sound, even coming home, I got up this morning and I'm drinking my coffee and feeling a little bit of guilt, just sitting in my comfy chair in my PJs and scrolling on my phone, and then drinking my coffee, and all the people back there that they don't even have a home anymore. But getting in the field and driving the road, seeing some of the damage, of course, what I call kind of level 3, back in the tremendous devastation. We did not go back there. We wasted almost at least a half a day on. We got diverted on where it's just there's so much miscommunication. No one, they're getting better. So this is most certainly not a complaint or a gripe or even a criticism. It's just the way that it is, and there is such a need that the locals are trying to get their arms around it, because first of all, we've collected all these donations before, and I can do that really, really well, because I have experience doing it. But if you're living in the mountains of Appalachia, do you really think that a flood's coming? And it's not just a flood, it's a catastrophic event that is literally going to take your house, assuming that your
Gone.
slab is
Yeah.
even still left, it's all gone. And so it's such a catastrophic need. And then trying to figure out, so I kind of say you've got the level 1, and then you have your level 2s, and then you have kind of your level 3 is the main, the super devastated areas. But getting it to that level 2, which is where I wanted to get it to make sure that we knew that it was absolutely going to go into the hands that were in need. We owed that to the people who have donated. We owed that, so that I can look you in the eye and say we fulfilled what we said that we would do, and getting it to people who could actually use those donations. And the stuff that people donated, y'all, it was perfect. It was perfect for what they needed. It was perfect for what they need going forward. They're definitely moving into a different stage at this point. It's most certainly not necessarily a rescue situation anymore. Now it's a recovery. And of course,
Right.
that's even more catastrophic, or just as catastrophic as it was before. There are a lot of things that is not getting out in the media. because I think there's some of it nefarious, but a lot of it is just it can't. I mean,
I'll get,
it's hard to communicate.
yeah, I'll give you an example. We kind of, it's hard for us to put this thing in perspective. A lot of us, if you've been on a trip, let me kind of paint the picture for you. If you've been on a trip in the mountains and you know how you get going down those windy roads and you get down, kind of into a valley and you come up on this little small town and, there's generally depending on the part of the country you're in, a brook or a creek.
Yeah.
Or they might call it a river, and to us it would be just a little old bayou. But you've got tons of these things up there, right? And so the thing is this water came up. You got to understand it. So like right now, all of you're sitting. You may be sitting at your house. 9 times out of 10, most of you are. You may be sitting at your office, at work, wherever you're sitting. So just imagine, just in the course of a short period of time, all of a sudden, the water comes up 20, 30 foot. And what the heck do you do? These people didn't have a ton of warning. And the warning that they did have, what we learned from the locals is the ones that did get the warning, they were told to shelter in place. And so the people in some of these areas that were, say, sheltering in place, they all of a sudden found themselves with water to the ceilings of the structure they were in. I mean, just at the snap of a finger.
And all the roads were gone by this point, so there was no getting out. Because that was, I get that question a lot. How are these people still stuck in their houses? Well, again, you're on the mountain and it's all those windy roads. It's not just a road straight up the side of the mountain. It's a windy road, obviously, around the mountain. And so as the water literally just cut through these roads, they literally were stranded. And these people are back in the woods because they want to be back in the woods.
Well, it's that, and you're not talking about one town. You're talking about an endless amount of towns. The primary town that everybody, Asheville, that's where everybody heard the most in the media and all of that. I mean, the only reason that you heard Asheville is because that's probably the largest little town in that area. But where there's that one, there's 20 more of these smaller towns all around that. And what the problem is, here's what's happening. So somebody in the comments, they put, hope you didn't get stopped by the FEMA police. We never saw FEMA. We didn't.
I was going to ask you, did you see the feds, or what was the deal with that?
The best thing we saw was 4, I'm going to say National Guard units. That's all we saw. The rest was all sheriff's deputies. I mean, they're not there that I saw. But what we learned was that the locals that are in the areas that are cut off north of Asheville, kind of up in the mountains, to us, we're like, well, if you ain't got food and you ain't got utilities and stuff, you're just going to pack up and leave, right? You're just going to load your crap up and get out of there. Well, these people are like, oh, hell no, we're not going nowhere, because what was told to us is that if they leave their property, the government or these FEMA people are condemning their properties and seizing their property, so they will not leave. They would rather die at their home and in their place than to leave it and abandon it and have the government condemn it, and then they seize it and they lose it.
And that $750, it is a loan. Now, we were told that in the bottom part of the paperwork, it indicates that if that loan is not paid off in a short time frame, that then the government can come in and seize their property. I have not actually looked that up myself, but the $750 for sure is actually a loan. Well,
so
you have no car, no business, no job.
So if you've got FEMA, if these people won't leave, because if they leave, then the government's going to seize their property, and the government is sitting here trying to, in the beginning, they're probably not doing it now, but trying to cut off supplies to these people who are unwilling to leave. They're trying to squeeze these people on both sides, and it's just not right.
That's absolutely nuts. I mean, we've all seen, I'm sure, because I was obsessed with going through the YouTube videos from some of the YouTubers who had gone up there to help.
Right.
But we've all seen the devastation. I put it this way. So the Flat River is right behind my house. And, in the, 2016 and the 2018 floods, it was within a foot or two. If it had come up another foot or two, it would have been probably getting the floor in my garage wet. But that was over the course of several days. I mean, it was 17 to 18 foot higher than it is normal, but that was over the course of several days. Like you were saying, Duke, a lot of these people got that much water within the span of just an hour or two. And it was flash floods. And all the hills, while it drained off fast, the force of the water shooting down there and flooding and the landslides and the mudslides and all that is what's really caused all that devastation. That's crazy.
One of the things that did surprise me was the number of downed trees just on the sides of the roads as we were driving, which obviously it wasn't all tornadoes, but the tremendous amount of wind that they had to have received. And the water didn't push, because in Swannanoa Valley, there is a part of the interstate that we were on that you could see just a swath of land over to the right-hand side of the interstate in the direction, I don't remember which way we were going, but irrelevant. Just a swath of land that you could see just mud for a very, very wide swath of just mud. And it was so high. And just to be able to fathom that amount of water, and you could tell the way it was flowing, because all of the trees and the grass were all flowing that way, assuming that there was still grass. It was just cataclysmic. I mean, you've heard people use that word before, but it truly was that. And that was we're just on the interstate in Swannanoa Valley, seeing that just right there. And you can see, we went in this one town, Maggie Valley, and there was one train trestle, and it was 30 feet up.
I think I got a short video I made, and if you want to cue it up and play it. I mean, and hey, if y'all aren't interested in kind of hearing about this, but we can move on. But I think it's helpful for y'all to understand this. Just so I want to make this a little quick
here
video.
we go.
We're in a little town called Canton. It kind of looks to be south and just west of Asheville, where they're said to be the most damaged. But to put in perspective the quantity of water, I would assume that this little creek here is probably the normal level, maybe a tad high, but you can't really tell just how much water comes through here. The interesting thing is, unlike Louisiana, when we have floods, you can kind of tell with the stains on the buildings and stuff like that, and you can't really tell that here. But there are some things that you can tell. Like if you look at this telephone pole, you can see the grass stuck from where the water level was, and that kind of gives you an idea. And then you come past this store, or you look at the building, you can't tell. There's no stains. Either they really cleaned up good or the water was clean. I mean, you can tell on this fence all the trash. But look, as you look a little closer, every house that you can see here flooded. And by my estimate, these houses right here across the street, the water in this part of the town, every one of these houses, the water got at least to the roof line, or to the ceiling of these houses. And that's about the level of this whole town across here. There's some industrial stuff beyond those buildings right there, but all of this is flooded. This town has electricity, has utilities back up and going, debris everywhere that you would imagine, but this town is in good shape, with the exception of the people who have lost their homes. You can stop it there. You hear me saying it's in good shape, and you're looking, and did you see the mud on the side of the? That was the weirdest thing to me. There's no mud line to see the water level,
because the water was running that fast.
That water came through so fast, and that water was, for the most part, sort of clean, in my opinion.
And I want to add something kind of eerie to that. So you saw that there was a fence there in part of that video that's basically like a little walkout area that one of the beautification groups there in that area had created. There's like a little kind of like a little viewpoint little thing right there. Anyways,
it was elevated.
There's a little fence around it. if you're looking at the creek on the left-hand side of that fence, there's a grocery bag hanging on that fence. Y'all, it was still full of water. That was the
Yeah.
most surreal thing. That was just, and we're high. That's what, 30 feet at least above where that creek is. And the trestle that's just that's a little further to the left, there's debris and trees, and it's high. God, it's high. It's just, it's almost impossible to fathom that much money and that much water.
To put another thing on this, and I mean, I hate to keep pouring all this on, but I think people need to know this story, and ultimately they'll know the whole story. But if you're law enforcement, military, or public safety, you'll know what I'm talking about. But you know, you will. We had one person that told us about somebody that they knew. It was a person from there, that local, and he talked about somebody that was a friend of theirs that they found them perished 40 miles away down the river.
400. 400.
No, it was not 400. It was 40.
Right.
But anyway, and what I would say is the stories that you hear about, the smell, there's places, yeah, you recognize it.
Yeah.
You can, it's there.
Yeah, just, complete devastation. Well, the good side is, a lot of folks like y'all getting together and putting supplies together and folks donating and all that. I've seen countless YouTube channels, gathering donations and supplies and taking them directly out there and getting it, like you said, Kara, getting it into the hands of the people that need it, into the smaller organizations or churches or whatever that will directly get these supplies to the people that need it the most.
The place, I'll just add one more thing. The place that we dropped everything off to is this electrical, some self-employed electrical company. Anyway, that they were a distribution hub, as I would call it. They kind of morphed into one. They saw a need after it happened. Hey, we've got the space. They've got a huge warehouse. And so that's kind of how that morphed into that. Well, and then of course it eventually just gets so big, and they have volunteers that come every day, and they have 18 wheelers that are taking stuff out and distributing it to other areas. But obviously you're not getting an 18 wheeler back in those areas. And the super bad areas are literally, it's horses and donkeys, and you can't even get ATVs. And truth of the matter, you can't even get horses in some of those places because they can't navigate the jagged rocks and the uneven. They're literally having to get a certain point, and then they're going in on foot and trying to get some of these people out. There have been people perish because they were on oxygen, or they needed insulin, or they needed dialysis. I mean, those are your extreme cases, of course, but they have to have help. And if they're not willing to come out and get that help, it's just there's no central kind of, to me, there's no central command on pinpoint where all these people are.
Well,
so you can just try to make sure. It's just so hard.
yeah, and we're all smaller government people typically, but this should be the job of FEMA to be able to come in there and get something coordinated and, I hate to say under control, but get some semblance of control going where needed, especially as far as the communications and just relaying information. And to me, that's the worst part of all this. It seems like they are down in Florida, where it's easy to get to and easy to drive around, relatively speaking, compared to North Carolina and all those areas hit by Helene.
Yeah, the communication definitely is a challenge with being in the mountains. Just with us trying to communicate, or we were in this one location at a church, and we can't even communicate from one side of the property to the other because we don't have any signal. And we have two different cell phone providers. Each of us have two cell phone, and it's logistically just an issue. And to your point, Rex, you have the government to sort of be that 1,000-foot view, and have that 1,000-foot view, and to make sure there's communication in place, and then get out of the way. Because I had more trepidation and stress over the fact that if we ran into FEMA and they wanted to take our stuff, I joked with a couple of people that they better have bail money, because it just was not going to happen. So I was but I talked to someone else that had been up there, and they said they weren't doing that and that kind of thing. So, well, they had done it, but it was only in different circumstances. So, I felt better about that situation.
Well, excellent report. I mean, terrible circumstances to have to report on this sort of thing, but that's a good way to give everybody watching a firsthand account, not, just watching a YouTube video or YouTube channel or news account. Some, y'all were up there firsthand recently.
It's true. It's true what they say. The pictures really don't do it justice. It's like I will never get that landscape out of my brain. Yeah. So, well, thank y'all for allowing me to be here.
Well, and I just want to say, I mean, and I know Kara will say, there's a lot of people who made donations. I'll give you an example. There's two local businessmen. They didn't want to be identified that, stepped up and they bought a bunch of generators to go up there. We appreciate them. There's a local politician here in Bossier that made some donations. Thank you to that politician.
I don't have a list, so we can't be naming people.
Yeah, we're not naming anybody. Right. I mean,
because I don't want to leave anybody out.
That's right. But just, you need to know that there's a lot of people in our community that did step up, just like Katrina and before. And to all of those people,
I mean, every little bit helps.
That's what it's about. That is absolutely what it's about.
I want to add one more thing. There are lots of places on, that we're seeing all over social media about donating, and just be super. If you're going to send money, be sure and vet that just a little bit. There's a lot of fraud that is going on of somebody, being a true nonprofit, and they'll have a Cash App or they'll have a Venmo or they'll have something. And then you have all these fraudsters out there who are getting very similar names. And so, because once that money's there, the money's there, and you're not able to get that money back. And so just be sure to spend just a little bit of time to vet if you're going to send stuff like that. There's we always have that element of people who are not doing right and who are not being good Christians, and are not even being just good humans, if you really want to go that far, for sure. And not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So just go a little bit extra step if you're going to do that, to make sure that it's going to where you want it to go.
Yeah. Hey, good safety point. And I'll even add, since I'm a tech guy and I'm pretty tuned into all that, if you're looking at donating, but you're not really sure, any of you that are watching, hey, reach out to me directly on Facebook or whatever. Send an email to bossierwatch@gmail.com. I'll be glad to do a little digging and make sure it's legit or semi-legit anyway. So I'll throw that out there too.
All right. Well, on to the next thing.
Okay, I'm out of here before y'all start going in all of that. There you go. Good night, y'all.
Thanks,
Taking
Kara.
the crackers with me.
Take your crackers and go, Cracker.
All right. So, we lost Mr. Lowry. He has turned into a black abyss. Can still hear him, though. He's there in spirit, just not in video. It sounds like you were flushing the commode.
My apologies.
I've been talking about you while you didn't have your headset on. So
that's good. That's all right.
Yeah.
I'm out of crackers, but that's all right. There's some peanuts around here somewhere. I gotta find them now that she's gone.
So,
I'm still here.
Oh.
All right. So let's just kind of dive right off into this. The city council in the city of Bossier City are not having a good week. Would that be fair to say?
I can't imagine why they would be having a bad week.
Well, look, they had a few battles that they had kind of let the battle swing their way a little bit, but
maybe they would just like to have 5 shifts off without pay. I'm just saying, 5 off without pay. Yeah, it was a softball team once. It was a softball team in Bossier once called 5 off without pay. Interesting. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to kind of switch a little bit of the order up. Maybe I am trying to stick to the notes, but I can't stand it. I've got to get into this Robert's Rules of Order
It's killing you. Let's
controversy.
get
It's
it
just
out of the
killing
way.
me. I can't
Let's get it
stand
out of
it
the way.
when somebody says I'm wrong, but I knew I was right, and I was letting them set up the stage for me to make a
Now,
mockery of it.
when did somebody say that you were wrong? I'm guessing you're going to show us.
I am going to show you. So let me switch screens here. And this is, folks, where we're going to start getting into the pick on the city of Bossier stuff. So give me just a second here.
Val Baker. Look, Val Baker is a producer in waiting. I can see it.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. This is a clip from the October the 10th City Council special meeting. And I had gotten up there and kind of excoriated the city council on Brian Hammond's calling for the question, which, and we kind of covered this, but calling for the question by Robert's Rules of Order isn't to silence the comment period. It's to halt debate among the committee members, in this case, the city council members, and go ahead and vote on it. And of course, calling for the question, you got to have a vote on that as well. And Brian, to his credit, he didn't realize that. Well, Jacobs got up there and said, we don't have to follow Robert's Rules of Order. So I want y'all to hear this. I'm going to go ahead and hit publish and play, and hopefully it'll do right.
The city does not follow Robert's Rules of Order. The city has their own rules, and they have never, to the best of my knowledge, adopted Robert's Rules of Order as a means of process.
Now, y'all heard that. Let me play it one more time. It's short, about 10 seconds. This is after I had walked off the stage, or stomped off. And Robert Wright, you can see him walking up there. But here we go again. Listen closely.
The city does not follow Robert's Rules of Order. The city has their own rules, and they have never, to the best of my knowledge, adopted Robert's Rules of Order as a means of process.
You know what's interesting about that, Mr. Lowry?
I'm dying to hear, and I'm certain you're going to tell me.
Well, just in a little quick cursory check, I am so glad my partner in crime here is as much a smart aleck as I am. All right.
Look, I am actually on another level, but I am being kind to my co-host here. Go ahead.
Well, lo and behold, Robert's Rules of Order. This is Resolution 1 in January of 2024, adopted by the Bossier City Council, and it says, and I'm reading from
wait a minute.
from their minutes.
Hold up a minute. Are you college educated? Because you may not be qualified to make this argument.
I dropped out of chemical engineering, not because I couldn't do the chemistry.
A chemical dropout.
I'm a dropout.
Maybe you are. Give it hell. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
So this is reading from Resolution 1 of 2024. It says, and I quote, Robert's Rules of Order are adopted by reference and will apply to any procedural question not covered by the resolution, provided such rule does not conflict with the city charter or Louisiana law. Now, just in case there was any doubt, hold on, I'm going to play it again.
The city does not follow Robert's Rules of Order. The city has their own rules, and they have never, to the best of my knowledge, adopted Robert's Rules of Order as a means of process.
So I thought, maybe Jacobs wasn't at that particular meeting where they passed that resolution. So I dug back a little bit further and found Resolution 56 of 2021.
Oh, okay. So you went back and got more in 2021. I mean,
Yeah.
because he's been out.
He had a medical leave. Yeah, so I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Don't be beating up on Zamboni now. Come on.
Well, but lo and behold, here is Resolution 56 of 2021. I think it was in June or July of 2021. And I read, quote, Robert's Rules of Order are adopted by reference and will apply to any procedural question not covered by the resolution, provided such rule does not conflict with the city charter or state law.
Oh, wait a minute. That's almost like the same language that you had before.
But again, just to beat a dead horse.
Does not follow Robert's Rules of Order. The city has their own rules, and they have never, to the best of my knowledge, adopted Robert's Rules of Order as a means of process.
Apparently, you don't have to be a college graduate to be a lawyer or to pretend to be a lawyer, because I'm sorry, Jacobs, that's about one of the dumbest things you've ever said. It was pretty ignorant. I would say it's beyond ignorant. Ignorant means you just didn't know. That was pretty stupid, because that's like in the ordinances and resolutions your city council that you're the city attorney for has actually passed. So it should be like, you should know this. It's in the rules of damn decorum, right above it.
Yeah, I don't know. Come on, man. Come on. This is Charles. You gotta cut him a little break. He gave us some of the best content we ever had.
Oh, hell no. He waited till I walked off. Of course, I could have done my usual 180 and about face and marched right back up there, but I figured I would wait till our show to excoriate him.
But you're just a citizen. You don't even have a college degree.
Ignorance. And look, Queen Monty might have said that today, and we're going to take a look at that. But Jacobs was sitting there. You can see he's pretty much agreeing with him, because the camera was on both of them when he said that.
All right. So I just need to know, are we following open meetings? Are we bound by open meeting laws or not? I mean...
Oh, well, that's a whole different topic. Let me switch scenes and see if we can do that. Let's see.
I mean, we do or we don't follow open meetings. Robert's rules does or does not apply.
Well, it's a good question. So let me check all these off that we talked about them, and then we will get into the Robert's rules. The open meetings laws. So I published the letter on our Facebook page, on our bossierwatch Facebook page, that Wes Marriott received from the AG's office. So I want to show, let's see, cuts 10 and 11, and that'll be kind of relevant to whether or not they follow the meetings law. So let's see. Let me drag this up here, and I know, folks, it's kind of small, but I'm going to read it. So I've highlighted here. This is, what is this? Revised Statute 4225, Enforcement. C. Any person who has been denied any right conferred by the provisions of this chapter, or who has reason to believe that the provisions of this chapter have been violated, may institute enforcement proceedings. I also want to point out that right above that, in Section B, the DA's office also has jurisdiction, so to speak, to provide enforcement for open meetings law violations. And of course, the AG's office does as well. And I want to point out one more thing, and then I'm going to get to how this relates to are they following open meetings. It's a $500 fine, and that is a civil penalty, not to exceed $500. The member shall be personally liable for the payment of such penalty. I can't remember if it was Vicky or what's that other Moorhart gal's name? Sandra. Can't remember if it's Vicky or Sandra, but they were like, I just don't understand about this $500 fine or something in one of the meetings. Well, we just showed it. There you go. All right. But you asked.
I got it.
You asked.
Because look, I've been out of touch here for a second. I don't know. What? Are you okay?
With what?
Are you okay? I mean, because you're citing the damn law here, and this is Bossier. I mean, what's wrong with you? Are you?
I'm a college dropout.
Have you been freaking smoking something while I've been gone? This is Bossier.
Y'all were the ones that were high up in the mountains, not me.
We don't follow the law here. I mean, we do what we want to do.
They don't shop around. They don't follow the law. Well,
what's wrong with you?
Let me just put it this way. So this is the letter from the AG's office. Again, we got this posted on the Facebook page, but you can see here, this is from the AG's office, from Liz's office, and it's to Wes Marriott. So I'm going to skip over to page 2. and I've got highlighted, based on the facts available to this office, it is the opinion of this office that the Charter Commission violated Louisiana Revised Statute 42:19 A1B2BB by accepting the resignation of commission members without sufficient public notice. It was not reasonably clear that the resignation of the commissioners would be discussed and voted on by the commission. And number two, based on the facts available to this office, it is the opinion of this office that the commission violated Louisiana Revised Statute 42:14C by not voting viva voce on the replacement commission members. Now, does that...
Well, you know what the problem here was, right?
Oh, what's that?
Because there was nobody, I don't think, that got up and articulated to all of them that they were violating open meeting laws. Everyone that did was unqualified.
Oh, yeah. It was a bunch of us ignorant folks out in the audience commenting. Non-ignorant folks.
It's all ignorant folk. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be identified, recognized, Bossier City, educated people. And, nobody that has spoke and telling them that they were doing things wrong, that didn't count.
Right. Well, yeah. I have a whole soapbox I could get on about that. I'm showing page 3 of that letter. This letter came from Madeline Carbonet, who is the assistant AG. And so the AG's office decided not to take any more enforcement action against them. And do you know why they decided to do that, Mr. Lowry?
I think I already knew that. I mean, it almost is as if Richard Ray knew what action to take before this even came out publicly.
Yes, the whole groundhog meeting, they literally redid on because of these open meetings violations, thus proving they fall under open meetings laws. Richard Ray, the assistant city attorney. You might be confused about whether you are or not the assistant city attorney, but nobody else in these environments, the AG's office, nor the bond commission seems to have any doubt who you are. So I'm sorry you're, still having this identity crisis. I'm sorry. All right.
I'm sorry. I'm already getting text messages.
Oh Lord.
Well, I just would say, hey, I mean, Liz Merle, if the AG's office is going to carry the water for the Bossier City good old boys, you know what? I got it. Message received. We'll see where we'll go with that. I hope that's not the case, but if that's the case, then we'll see how this ends up.
Hey, our good friend there, Mr. Jeffrey Sadow, says the legal department gets a nearly $100,000 boost in budget for 2025, almost 20%. With Jacobs and Ray's records of egregious mistakes, a cut would be more appropriate. Oh, no, Jeffrey. You don't understand how this works in government.
Well, inquiring minds want to know what charter commission amendments were made to the legal department of Bossier City.
Crickets.
Bueller.
Yeah. Do I have a little crickets thing here somewhere?
Bueller.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Bueller. Yeah. No. Business as usual for the legal department in Bossier City. Charter commission, for some inexplicable reason, found no reason to change anything within the legal department of Bossier City. Imagine that. How could that happen?
All right. So that's my rant. Robert's Rules of Order violate another. But look, I guess I got to give I'm not giving Jacobs enough credit. He was correct. Why should they follow Robert's Rules of Order? They don't follow their own damn charter. Why should they follow some silly resolution that they pass for the rules of decorum and that they're supposed to follow Robert's Rules of Order? They don't follow judges' orders. They don't follow their own city charter. And they certainly don't follow a resolution specifying that they have to follow Robert's Rules of Order.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, shall only means shall when the benevolent overlords, as you say shall matters.
Yeah. Haygood says, "Isn't the AG's opinion just a lawyer's opinion?" It is,
I,
except the AG's office has enforcement power over those open meetings laws violations.
I have heard that somewhere. It seems like I heard it from another attorney. But
Opinions
interestingly,
matter. Oh no, opinions vary. No, that was the mighty words of Dalton and Roadhouse. Opinions vary.
okay, let's get to the chase. Let's get to this. I'm ready to lay the information down on the public so that they can go out and inform all their fellow citizens. I am ready to get to the heart of the matter here because you know, I mean, look, you know what? I gotta say. So y'all can't see it. There's 100 people. I mean, we're tapping on 100 people every show at least, and but this show we've been throttled a little bit for whatever reason. We don't know why. We think it's because the good old boys and maybe the good old girls are going after us, trying to get us throttled, making complaints and all that. That's why we ask y'all if you agree with us, or either that you think that the content we're putting out is important, that you should continue to share it or help us to get the message out, because those other folks that don't want this information out there, they're doing their part to try to prevent this information from getting out there. They're working.
Right.
That's part of the game.
They're working overtime.
I don't fault them. I mean, they have a goal, they have a mission, and we have a goal, we have a mission, and they're fighting us. We're against them. They're against us. It's just part of it.
Yeah.
So,
but the advantage we have is we have a soapbox every Tuesday night, almost every Tuesday night without fail, 231 episodes. We have a soapbox every Tuesday night. And as most of you know, we show their words. I mean, we, no doubt about it, put in our opinion and our bias, but we show their words against them.
and tonight we're going to show what they haven't been showing you. We're going to show you what they have hid from you. We're going to show you why, some of their actions. I think it explains some of their actions. I can't say with certainty that it's why they've done what they've done, or why they do what they do, or why they're doing what they're doing. But it certainly begs the question: is this a reason why? So,
all right.
I think we should go to. We got to set it up.
All right.
The council meeting today. I think the council meeting today was rich beyond measure. I mean, it was just.
There were some humdingers in this council meeting, so I'm pulling this council meeting up. Also, I've got, just so you know, I've got the September 20th, 2022 meeting pulled up, and the
Okay.
and then today's council meeting. So I've kind of got that. But anyway, let me know when you're ready for me to pull the other meeting.
Let's go to today's council meeting, because this thing is Swiss cheese, and I'm going to do my best to weave it all together. We're going to go back. Ultimately, we're going to go back, by the time this story is done with, we're going to be going back to 2020. And
back in time.
So, but we're going to start with today. What happened today? And let's go through that.
All right, so I've got it on live review if you want, but if not, I'm going to start at the 19-minute mark. This is where Phyllis reads the Charter Commission ordinance, and Queen Monty motions to change it to March. So here we go.
It's proposing amendments to the city charter of the City of Bossier City as recommended by the Charter Review Commission.
Phyllis, I'd like to make an amendment to that. Do I introduce it and then amend it?
You can make your amendment, and then you'll have to reintroduce it as amended.
I know, but do we need to say no? All right, I'd like to offer an amendment to number 7, changing the date from December to March 29th of 2025.
Second. All right, there is a motion by Mr. Montgomery and a second by Mr. Darby to amend this ordinance to reflect March 29, 2024 instead of December 7th. Is there any?
No,
Or
2025.
I'm sorry, thank you. Is there any public comment on this amendment?
And that is
Oh,
the
Chris
election
was
date,
trying to
correct?
be
Thank you,
slick.
Mr. Nick.
Yeah, he did a good job. I'll give him a little bit of credit.
Is
where
there
it's
any
due.
comment from the council on this amendment?
And I can't believe there were crickets in
Montgomery
this.
and Mr. Darby?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, get
Yeah,
ready for the
well-
vote and we'll explain it.
What was
All
the
right, council,
point?
cast your vote.
All right, hold on. I'll stop it in the vote screen.
Motion carries.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there. Commentary, Mr. Lowry.
Well, basically, for all of you sitting in the back row without a college education, what they did was they just changed on this was the ordinance on the Charter Commission amendments. They changed the date to which the election that they would call for this ordinance, they changed it to March, of 2025. So they, in their way, conceded that they can't get it on the December 7th ballot. Now, arguably, one could say, since there is a temporary restraining order against them in moving forward with calling for any election without properly publicizing things, one could contend that they may have just voted to violate that temporary restraining order.
Wait a minute. You don't say, Mr. Lowry. Wait a minute. Well, that's an important point. Let's go back on that for a second.
You're right.
There
So
is a
as-
temporary restraining order in place right now pending a possible permanent injunction at a hearing coming up, I think this Friday, Friday, whatever day.
That's
it is.
right.
Okay.
And I think perhaps maybe it would be appropriate to break that down a little further. So the request for a temporary injunction was filed so as to prevent the Bossier City Council or Bossier City from taking any further action to call for an election specifically on December 7th or any election without providing proper publication as is required by the charter, just by way of what's required. And ordinance 154 of 2023, which was the founding of the Charter Commission. So, I would say that on October, I think it's the 16th, they did publicize the new charter, I guess you could say, that's to be adopted. They publicized that in the Bossier Press Tribune, which is the official publication for the city of Bossier. And I don't know if that meets the standard or because the court date is set for Friday, and it certainly that would meet the 60-day notice for a March election. So they're conceding that, hey, we can't get it done on the December 7th. Or are they conceding because the bond commission just said, oh, screw you, we're not putting it on there?
Well, that's very interesting. And I've got a, let me see if this will work. Yes, there we go, folks. There is the copy in the Bossier Press Tribune. If you can read that, good luck. I can't even read it on my screen. That they must have put that in like 2-point font. I don't know. But there's a copy of it in the Bossier Press Tribune for any of you that are worried about it. But I want to go back to this TRO and the potential issue there, because I don't have it pulled up in the notes, shame on me, but they may have just violated the TRO today.
Well, I may have alluded to that here just a second ago. I mean, because there is a little bit of verbiage in there that says, about trying to call for any election, not necessarily just the December 7th, but if I recall correctly, the words after that or anything after that. But But again, Rex, this is Bossier City. We do what the hell we want to do. We don't care.
Well, I agree with that. So just in case, lo and behold, hold on. Let me get to the correct page here. Let me see. Dang, I forgot what page it was on. I should know this off the top of the head. Let's see. Dadgummit. I should have it right there. Hold on. Okay, May defendants petitioner shows I'm failing in my duties as a tech guy tonight on our show. Go through all of this. See if I can get to the page real quick.
Oh,
Shame
give it
on
up.
me.
Yeah, give it up. It's not important.
Yeah.
I mean, it is important, but it isn't important. We'll figure it. Wait a minute. Whoa, right there.
Oh, there
right
we go.
Right there.
I got it. All right. It is hereby ordered that the temporary restraining order be issued herein directed unto the defendants, restraining, enjoining, and prohibiting the defendants or any other persons, entities, firms, corporations, or partnerships acting or claiming to act in its behalf from, in any manner whatsoever, from causing a election or special election to be held on December 7th ballot or 2024 ballot or any future ballot until Ordinance 154-2023 publication notice requirements are met, pending a hearing without bond. So, if the way I read this, but of course, you know, I ain't no lawyer. The way I read this, if they met the publication requirements for 154-2023, I guess they're off the hook. If they didn't, they might have just violated a TRO.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's moot because there's so much time that even if they had made a mistake, now they got plenty of time to correct any mistake that they make. I just don't. I just don't. I don't know. You know, but obviously, I mean, if you go back to the Bossier Press Tribune and you look at any time before that, which is the official publication of the city of Bossier, show me where the charter or what you showed on the screen, show me where that was shown before. Show me where that was publicized. Go back, look at the agendas of the council meetings, look at the minutes, show me where they posted it there. They posted the election call and what would be on the ballot, but they didn't post what the amendment. So the point being that if you haven't followed along and you're not like us or, you know, Colonel Crockett, Cassie Rogers, or some of the people that, you know, Ryan Haygood, or some of the people that have been to the Charter Commission meetings and have paid attention, how would you even know if you had not looked at any of it or saw it in a publication? How would you know that the at-large council districts were being divided up into A and B? How would you know that? How would you know that they were creating new divisions of government? How would you know that? You wouldn't. There's no way you could just read the propositions that are going to be put forward and know any of that. You'd have no idea. And maybe after the fact, you may end up voting for it. And then you realize, wait a minute, I voted for that. I had no idea. It was because it was never publicized. You didn't, you know, and then somebody would say, well, if you had a college education, you might would have showed up at a charter commission meeting and kept track of how they were voting, you know, so obviously you're ignorant. Or I don't know. I'm going off the rails here.
You're going to make me really go off the rails and mention something like a particular confused assistant city attorney who excoriates people that are not members of the city of Bossier City or not constituents of the city of Bossier City by not being in the city limits, all while knowing he himself doesn't live in the damn city limits. How hypocritical, Richard Ray. Oh, I'm sorry. The assistant city attorney, not really the assistant city attorney. Anyway. All right. Yeah, see, we got Kimberly Ann Adams Sellers says, well, dang, I'm a college dropout. See, there's lots of us. We could all band together and go to the city council together and have the dropout comments section. All right. What's next?
Well, keep going with the we got to get to it. We're not even there yet, folks.
Oh, yes. All right. So
I promise y'all, you're going to know, if you're watching this tonight, you're going to know information that only a select few people in government in Bossier know, and that they have kept hid from you and the public. You're going to know it, and people are going to, you're going to go out there, start talking about it, and people are like, what are you talking about? And they're going to be like, oh my gosh. And 3, 6, and 12, all the news media, they don't know this. None of them know it. John Settle doesn't know it. Bossier Now doesn't know it. Sobo Live doesn't know it. All those folks, they don't know it.
Right. Okay. So I'm skipping ahead here to Colonel Crockett's comments on the budget. Some of this is going to be kind of in the weeds a little bit about the budget, but it is germane to the comments afterward from Queen Monty. Now, first, I want to address a question from Jerry Castellani. So she asked, so a citizen can file a complaint with the AG about a possible violation of TRO and Charter Commission, the Bond Commission. I don't think that's the way that works in my playing a Facebook lawyer. That would be with the judge, and you can't file a complaint with the judge. So maybe some of our more lawyerly friends in the comment section can let us know what happens if a TRO is violated. If, like I said, big if. All right, here we go. Colonel Crockett on tap.
David Crockett, 653 Dumaine Drive, Bossier City, Louisiana. I'm going to continue my comments. Basically, the Jeff Sadow article talks about how the Bossier City has a debt of $191 million in government debt and $201 million in enterprise debt, which causes the 32 plus, and what I've heard are rumors that possibly Bossier City's principal and interest debt that's being paid this year is above 32 million. I'd like to have that confirmed if we can between this meeting and the next council meeting. My comment was not that you're raising taxes. That was so ridiculous to address that the way that was just addressed. The fact is that Bossier City's debt, just as in Jeff Sadow's article, is creating a principal and interest payment on your debt, which takes out of your operating income for the city. Therefore, when you want to give your police, your firemen, and your staff in Bossier City pay raises, you're competing with your principal and interest on your debt. I didn't say that debt competes with tax increases, but absolutely, if you have to pay your principal and interest and you're running short of operating income to be able to pay for pay raises, your debt and the result of that, which you've carried for all these years, is competing with Bossier City's payments for other operating income issues. So I'll be glad to debate, Mr. President, Mr. Montgomery, or anybody else, how this creates problems with Bossier City. But wasteful spending, on some cases, does come to roost. When you time and sequence something like the Walter O. Bigby Carriageway or anything else that you're spending your money on, rather than fixing roads and neighborhoods and things that will actually make Bossier City citizens not feel too bad about the amount of debt that Bossier City has, but you spend money on big projects like that, which is another item later on, that you're going to spend $2.8 million on a little short stretch to end a bad project. That's driving up debt in Bossier City, and that does compete with your pay raises. So anyway, I'll be glad to take any other criticism of my remarks, but Jeff Sadow's article is well thought out, but it is the principal and interest on the debt that's causing problems. Thank you.
All right, so let's pause right there for a minute. So let me summarize what the Colonel was saying, and he can correct me in the comments later or whatever, or Duke, you can correct me if I messed up here. Basically, he's saying, and we've documented it here based on especially Jeff Sadow's reporting and all that, but it's the math. The math doesn't lie. Bossier has a crap ton of debt and interest payments. Something on the order of, what's the number? 10 million, 20 million, 30 million a year, whatever it is, that the
Well,
city is paying in interest alone, correct?
Well, I think the correct way and most simple for non-educated, non-college educated people is the highest debt per capita in the state of Louisiana. I don't know if that's still exactly the case, but
We can safely say one of the highest debt per capita ratios.
You say that because I actually do have a degree, so I'm not qualified to say that. Apparently.
Yeah.
Or does that qualify me to say that?
Were you talking about the Rhodes Scholar that you are, or are you talking about like fire certifications, or what you talking about? What you talking about, Willis?
Well, see, I must have got a substandard education because I'm confused now. I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know that I'm qualified to say it, but the rumor is allegedly sources say that Bossier has the highest debt per capita. But again, I defer to, the educated people. I mean,
okay. So let's get into the next set of comments from the Queen himself. And I have to back up just a little bit because you heard Colonel Crockett refer to the Queen's comment. He had made a quick set of comments before this, but we're getting into the really good stuff here. Here we go. Tee it up.
Val, wait a minute. Hold up. Hold up.
Stop. Hold the press.
Val Baker, you're more right than you know.
Let me put a little T. I'll put that comment on the screen as a little tease.
Val Baker, you are bordering on being the cockroach of the week. I got to tell you, you just don't, I can tell you don't know how close you are.
All right.
Let's carry on, Rex.
Here we go.
Is there any other public comment? Any comment from the council?
Absolutely. I would suggest before you propose a debate that, and I'm not speaking to one individual, I'm talking about anybody, that you learn the fundamentals of governmental accounting, which you can go back to college for. I'm sure they're available at LSUS. But before the allegations that are levied here are like my grandfather used to say, you can't argue with ignorance. And it would be no purpose
ignorance
to get into some type of debate of what I've just witnessed and listened to. So that would be my suggestion. Understand the fundamentals of governmental accounting.
Understand the fundamentals of government accounting. Okay.
Oh,
Rex, I got to point something out here.
Okay.
I got to point something out here. Do you know that Colonel Crockett is an educated man?
No.
Do y'all watching this show? Do y'all not know that Colonel Crockett, he's not just some dumbass off the street?
Well, not just that. We don't call him Colonel Crockett just for the heck of it. He's literally a retired Air Force colonel.
Well, look, for people in the military, and I would contend in public safety, firemen and policemen. I mean, when you are referred to by your rank, even when you're retired, that's a measure of respect.
Right.
It's a measure of respect. But on this point right here, all of y'all watching the show, Colonel Crockett, while he may, and don't take this wrong, Colonel, I love you to death. He may drone on about stuff a little bit. He may. Doesn't mean he's wrong. But to the point of what this asshat up here at this stage is saying, he said he may need to go back to college. Do you not know? Or maybe if you unplugged your freaking ears and you listen, maybe if all of you holier than thou asshats, maybe if y'all listen to some of the people in the public that talk to you and you considered without just completely blowing off what they're telling you, you would understand that maybe some of what they're saying may be right. Colonel David Crockett, this guy has a master's of public administration. A master's degree in public administration, and you're telling him he needs to freaking go back to college? Okay.
David Montgomery wouldn't be a pimple on Colonel Crockett's ass.
I just, okay. So that begs the question. If he thinks that Colonel Crockett is ignorant and is in need of education to be able to even comment to these asshats up here, and I'm saying asshats because I got to tell you right now, my opinion for the most part of everybody up there is that it's a bunch of asshats. Because
I'm so glad we are not regulated on this show, so I don't have to hit little beat deals.
Okay, but look, I'm speaking from the educated position of being a Rhodes Scholar of Stupidville, so I can say things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know where these guys that are on the stage are coming from. And, maybe they got their education out of a damn Cheerios box or Cracker Jack box. I don't know. But what I do know is Colonel David Crockett, as you showed it a while ago, he's a freaking educated man, retired from the military. Doesn't make him always right. Military folks make mistakes just like everybody else. But the freaking guy is citing sources. He's analyzing the numbers. I'm willing to bet, and I'll bet my wallet, that he spent more time studying the numbers than any of these guys up here that are elected officials. Any of them.
Yeah.
And you know how I know that, Rex?
How do you know that, Mr. Lowry?
Because these guys have no clue as to what's going on, or they're crooked. And they know what's going on, and they're trying to deceive the public. It's got to be one or the other. I don't know which, but it's got to be one or the other, and I think I can prove it.
Oh, I'm going with the deception route. That's the one I'm going with.
I don't know which it is, but I think it's one or the other.
So let me pause you for a second, though, because Jessica Langley Maddox says, why didn't Jacob chime in and say he could not talk down to the public? Do we really have to answer that question? Jacobs is just as much of an asshat as Montgomery. They're both like the entertaining duo of the decade for BossierWatch and any social media.
Look, I don't want Jacobs to go nowhere. I like
either.
Charles.
Look,
I love it. I think Jacobs is cool.
This might be heresy to say, Duke, but I'm not so sure I don't want Montgomery to get out of office. I think I really want him to be reelected so we can keep calling him an asshat and showing this stuff. This has been the most entertaining thing ever.
He is going to kill BossierWatch if he retires and quits running for office and, getting all the insurance from all the local government entities. He's going to kill BossierWatch.
Yeah, he is. And Paul Johnson points out the colonel was also quoting from an article written by a college professor at LSUS where government administration is his forte. But Queen Monty knows better than all us uneducated, non-college educated folks out here. The colonel knows better that when you're paying $30 million in a year, thank you for correcting me in the comments, Colonel, in interest, something's wrong.
Yeah, he is saying something is wrong. And, look, I don't know how many marks. Let me look real quick before we move, because it's time to move.
Yes.
And let me see the links that you put in here. I think he even at some point he calls Amanda Nottingham up to the mic. Maybe that was earlier, and he says to the comments about taxes and the budget meeting before then that what he just heard, which was comments of Colonel Crockett that were inaccurate, to which she said, I was not suggesting that we raise taxes or something to that effect. But the bottom line is they are having discussions about money, budgets, and, the business of Bossier City, correct?
Right. Correct.
So for everybody that's paying attention, for all of y'all, even the ones, okay, let me say this. So for the 20 people that are not a part of the over 100 that are watching right now that, are uneducated hillbillies, did you know that Bossier City is absolutely, it was confirmed today. I mean, David Montgomery called Amanda up. They're absolutely not considering new taxes. And when David Montgomery and Bubba Williams bail out of office, no way will the councilman that come in and the mayor that comes in the next election, they won't be screwed and set up with a system to where they're going to have to increase taxes or fees to be able to sustain. I mean, these existing councilmen that have been in there for 20 to 30 years, they have set things up such that, everything's in good shape. The people coming in, they're not going to have to worry about nothing. It's on cruise control. Did you know that,
yeah.
Rex?
Oh yeah. I mean, to listen to them tell it, they've just been swimming spectacularly through the water and everything. The current is flowing just great.
Yeah, that is it. You said it. So I'm just wondering, all of y'all out there, do y'all feel informed? There's over 100 of you, and look, the Queen and Bubba, Darby, Mr. Independent himself, Mr. Free, whether you run for mayor, whether you run for council and get the snot beat out of you, whatever. I mean, have y'all been forthcoming to the public with everything? Have you told the public everything that you know? I'm just curious. Do y'all watching this show? Do you feel like you are informed on everything? Do you feel like you know every piece of everything?
Because that's a little bit of foreshadowing. You don't.
No, you don't. You don't at all. And you're going to come after we're fixing to pour it on you. I hope y'all are sitting down. You got your stiff drink, and I hope you have your popcorn. And if you're sitting at your bar or you probably ought to go get in your recliner or sit on your couch and be sitting down and ready for what we're fixing to break to y'all. And 3, 6, and 12, if y'all aren't watching, y'all in the comments, y'all probably ought to tag them because this is where they're going to want to pay attention. This is where we're telling y'all to tag them so that they will pay attention at this point, because we want them to start digging,
Yes.
because this is going to be news and you're going to hear about it.
All right. So guide me through this. I'm trying to pay attention to the notes, but everything else. Shall we go ahead to cut 1, which is the public information request?
Before you show it, let me say this. So the notes, Rex, what I have going forward, we're jumping around, in this council meeting, because you and I haven't talked about
Right.
what I put in here, because it's a mess, because I ended up going all the way back to 2020. I was trying to go down this rabbit hole, and I literally freaking got down this rabbit hole all this whole afternoon. It consumed me going backwards, and this gets into Walter O. Bigby. This gets into all this. So, not long ago, Rex, you didn't get this, and I didn't really share it completely with you. I mean, people think that pretty much everything I learn or you learn that we share with each other, but intentionally,
it's not always the case.
we don't talk to each other about a lot of things. It's plausible deniability for you and me, and we don't. I mean, again, for 2 Rhodes Scholars of Stupidville, it's a pretty good thing that we have these checks and balances built into this silly little show called Bossier Watch, where we're trying to fix our local government, right?
Right.
So I got this information, and you did say to me, because I sent a public information request regarding this information that I got. it was brought to my attention that there was something happening in Bossier City Hall, and something that nobody knew about. I took a walk down the City Hall lane, you might say, to try to root out what was going on and try to get some confirmation about what was going on. As it would turn out, what I was told turned out to be there was some accuracy to it. And if you go to cut 2, based on what I was told, I filed a public information request. And I filed it with the other government entity to which I was told. Actually, I take that back. Take that off.
Okay.
Go to the cut XXX.
Okay.
I got them backwards, apparently.
All right. Wait a minute. I don't have a cut XXX.
I may have changed it to cut 1.
Cut 1. That's the public information request, right?
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Bear with us, folks. All right.
And the only reason I want to go there, Rex, is because of primarily because of the date.
Okay. And so I should have cut, that's public information request should be on the screen now.
So you guys see there on September the 25th at 8:06, Bossier Watch, we sent a public information request to some politician or some government entity that, falls under the statute that has to respond. And we requested a very specific document. Yes, Brian Aber, amateurs, you're right. And what the specific document that we requested was an agreement between the city of Bossier and the Bossier Parish School Board that was executed in 1989.
Ooh, going way back. Year I graduated high school.
Oh yeah, well I graduated in 88, but it was a document regarding taxes and the agreement made between the city of Bossier and the Bossier Parish School Board, to which the city of Bossier were going to collect taxes for the school board and then turn around and remit those taxes to the Bossier Parish School Board.
Okay. Sounds easy enough.
Sounds easy enough. Those kinds of things happen all the time, right?
Yeah. So that's not so bad, right? That's not the bad thing, right?
That's not the bad thing.
Okay.
And we request, again, September the 25th. On a few days later, it wasn't too terribly long. It was actually pretty prompt. We got a response, to which we got cut 2. We got a copy of the actual agreement that we were referring to that was signed in 1989 between the city of Bossier and the Bossier Parish School Board. And you see right there, December 7th, 1989, James Hamby just happened to be the notary of public. I don't even know if that fella's still around, but he's anyway. Basically, this was just the agreement between the city of Bossier and the Bossier Parish School Board. Bossier City is going to collect a certain percentage of school taxes, and then they were going to take those tax monies and send them off to the school board.
Okay, and still, on its face, not knowing whether this violates any current statutes or ethics deals or anything like that, on its face, doesn't seem to be that bad.
Yeah, I mean, we've not said anything that's a problem for anybody right here so far. Normal business as usual. Blah 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 blah. You see right there, if you're free, don't move anything.
Yeah. Okay. The 1.5, 1.5 cent.
Correct. I mean, that's basically laying out what it is, the school board, the tax that they had levied or what the city of Bossier was to be collecting, right?
Right.
Well, on the tip that we got, the tip was that apparently there was an auditor from the school board camped out in City Hall in Bossier City.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
When we got the tip that there was an auditor camped out in City Hall in Bossier City that was reviewing the monies or the dollar denominations that had been being transferred to the school board since this agreement in 1989, and whether or not what was being transferred from Bossier City to the Bossier Parish School Board was accurate or inaccurate, because apparently there was a discrepancy.
Oh, well, see, I was going to say, having the auditor check that is not in and of itself anything bad as well, because, for instance, we see the audit reports all the time from guys like Travis Morehart all the time that, they do an audit report to the Board of Ethics or whoever, and about these various government entities. So having an auditor there in itself is not so bad. But you said something right there at the end that caught my attention. Whether or not they've been paid is basically what you alluded to, correct?
That's right. Well, here's the rub. As sources would say, or what has been conveyed to us, is that the numbers that was supposed to be sent to the school board by the city are not the numbers that were supposed to have been sent. Hence why an auditor had been camped out. When we got this information, apparently there had already been an auditor. You saw that was in September. I can't remember the date, but there had already been an auditor there. And from what we're told, there has been an auditor still going over all of this, as recent as this past week. Now, I can't confirm that that's accurate or inaccurate, but what I can additionally tell you is the source was correct about this agreement. The source was correct about the fact that there was an auditor reviewing this. The exact time I can't say. But what I would tell you, the source also tells me that the number that has been identified is reaching to the $40 million.
Wait, whoa. Say that again.
The source is telling me that the number that is currently being considered that is short, what has been short in revenue being sent to, or I shouldn't say revenue, or collections being sent to the school board, is somewhere to the tune of $40 million.
That's a large chunk of change.
That's a large chunk of change. If that is correct, the city of Bossier has a big problem. Now, what I will tell you is I understand the city of Bossier has taken the position that they don't owe no money. They're taking the
of course
position,
they have.
They're taking the position that we don't owe you nothing. And again, when I tell you that only a handful of people, I have this on pretty good authority that the city of Bossier and the school board have went to extreme lengths to try to hide this from the public. They don't want you to know about it.
Well, hence the title of the show, Mushrooms. Educate me on the mushrooms quote, and everybody that's watching, Mr. Lowry.
Well, I tell you what I'll do. I'm going to pose it to everyone watching the show. Do y'all, and probably only the educated people, you uneducated folks, you're probably not going to know this. But to the educated people, how do you grow a mushroom? Do you know, Rex? Do you know how to grow a mushroom?
I eat mushrooms, but I'm not a guy that grows anything. I'm the guy with the weed eater and the chainsaw that cuts it all down. Tell me, how do
Gotcha.
you grow a mushroom? I like
Now,
mushrooms.
well, I like mushrooms too. I particularly like them fried and on a
Yeah.
hamburger with a little bit of Swiss cheese. It's pretty good. But if you want to grow a mushroom, do you know what? There's a couple of components that you have to grow a mushroom.
Hmm.
Do you know what
Hmm.
that is?
Well, let's see. They're a part of a fungus, so probably dark.
Oh, Chris Davis, he's on the mark. Yes, Chris Davis, you got it. You have to feed them shit. You have to. That's a component. It's a required component. But there's another
Hmm.
component, Rex. You have to keep them in the dark.
Yes. Yes.
Jerry Castellani, dark places. See, between y'all are all sharper than you all know. You have to grow a mushroom. You have to feed it shit, and you have to keep it in the dark. Pardon my French. For those of you that don't like curse words and all that, I agree with you. I fail in that. I use it more often than I should, but sometimes you just need to use it to.
It's an adult show. We're all adults.
Yeah. So for all of you Bossier City citizens, you are all mushrooms because your benevolent overlords have all decided that you need to be fed shit and kept in the dark. So you say, well, why? How can you say that, Duke? That's not actually correct. I mean, well, I'm just wondering, y'all. Think about it. We sent that in September. Now, you've watched the council meetings. They've been talking about budgets. They've been talking about money. And the uneducated Colonel Crockett is sitting up there espousing about the budget. And he's told he needs to go back to college. And they all know that they have this liability of potentially $40 million. Can any of you point to me where you have heard what I just told you? And I
Well,
dare them to say it's not true. I dare them.
well, I mean, I just got through today watching most of the budget workshop meeting, and I gotta say, I don't remember anything about this being brought up during that budget workshop that they held.
I mean, now look, I admit I'm not an accountant. I'm not at all. I mean, and what my source said is that somewhere along the way, because my question was, how did the city get in this position? How did they get in this?
How the hell do you like how do how do you not pay 40 million or whatever the number is and
Yeah,
not notice that since 1989?
yeah. So there's a lot of questions. How does the school board not catch it? That's my question for the school board. How did
Right.
they not catch it? But more importantly, how is it that Bossier City, if you're going to take the responsibility and you're going to have an accounting department that supposedly is going to do all these calculations, how is it that you didn't get this right, or how did you get it wrong? Well, because I posed those questions and I kind of went down that road a little bit. And what I was told was, this is what I was told. What I was told is that what they think is that somewhere along the way, the method of calculating was changed. Someone or somehow the calculation was influenced to be changed. Now, I'm not saying anybody did it, but I can tell you, I would bet my wallet it's some educated person with accounting, government accounting, that probably made that change along the way. I don't know that. I'm
Damn it, Duke, you're going to run
speculating.
off all the educated folks from our show.
But I'm just saying, it's them educated folks. That's my hypothetical guess. I don't know that to be true. So if it turns out that, and I think potentially, I don't know, this show may change the dynamic. I don't know. But with
Hold
him
on.
making the comments today, with him making the comments today, some people will say, well, y'all have known this since September. Y'all have known this since September. Y'all been
Hell,
sitting on it just like them.
Apparently, they've known it since 1989. It was a
Well,
contract.
okay,
It's not like
no.
George DeMint signed this on some napkin in a bar.
Well, okay, but you don't know that the calculation has been wrong since '89. We don't know when the calculation went wrong. We
But
don't know
wait
that.
a minute, Duke. They have told us ad nauseum that the best way to have elected officials, they've got to have that experience for the continuity. They've got to have experience in office. You just can't have new people in there like Brian Hammonds, or even though I'm not real pleased with him, Chris Smith. You just can't have those newbies in there. You got to have the people in there with experience. And Darby's been in there since what? Damn near 1989.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. So I don't know what to say. I don't know what to tell y'all, but what I can tell you is a fact that the school board has had an auditor pouring through this. There is numbers of 40 million being thrown around. They don't think that it goes back all the way to 89. The calculation was changed at some point. Nobody is saying exactly when that change was made, but there was a change that caused the numbers to be wrong. And it's also I have to say it, that apparently city of Bossier, and I say that and when I say the city of Bossier, I'm saying the mayor, the council are saying it's not accurate. They don't know nothing, and that's BS.
So
I understand the school board has a different take, as I understand it.
you know how I know this is true? I mean, other than we just showed the contract, you know how I know this is true? Remember, before the show started, I was watching the YouTube video of Jason Rowland and what's that cheerleader's name? Anyway, whatever her name is, the cheerleader for the Bossier Parish School Board. They were.
I like her. Don't be mean to her. I like her. Anyway, go ahead.
They were doing a YouTube video with,
regardless of whether she was all on COVID or not. I mean, anyway, go ahead.
Well, it goes back to that tax thing. But anyway, with what's her name? Nisha Bamberg. I hope I said your name right, Nisha. And they were explaining that apparently the school board's doing an about face. The rumor was that on Halloween they were going to vote to roll forward, but now they've changed their position. They're rolling forward 2 tax millages, but they're rolling backwards 1 for an effective rollback of less tax rate from the school board. And I got to thinking, I was like, what prompted them
wait
to
a
roll
minute.
backwards and collect fewer taxes? It's because they're looking at this windfall from the city of Bossier.
Okay, so yeah, so they're anticipating they're going to get this money coming from Bossier so they can roll the taxes back, and the city of Bossier, okay, is or is not talking about having to increase taxes because they know they have this liability coming forward.
Well, rumor has it that the city of Bossier may be looking, well, it's not really a rumor, Sadal did an article on it, that the city of Bossier is looking at increasing, you okay there?
I just had to lower down a little bit.
All right, that the city of Bossier is looking at increasing taxes in 2025 because of the decreasing revenues, and I would argue potentially because of this problem they got.
I gotta correct you there. The master degree colonel said that, and the accounting degree Montgomery called the CAO up to say that, did you suggest that we were going to raise taxes? To which she said, no, we're not talking about, I never suggested we were raising taxes. So,
well, she didn't, but I would also like to point out at the budget workshop, they were talking about revenue shortfalls, and of course the police are underpaid according to the salary study, which we all know that. But the only way, if your revenues are down, then the only way to get that back up is raise taxes or boost the economy.
But Sadow was suggesting, I mean, and I look, Sadow was suggesting that the reason that Bossier City was looking at things was because of the shortfall in sales taxes. And that is the correct assessment. I think that's a correct assessment if you have all the information. But the city hasn't given the public all the information. So for all of y'all, how is it that you're going to go? How are you going to go to a council meeting and voice your opinion on, the budget, taxes? How can you adequately voice your opinion on anything if they're hiding information from you? If they haven't disclosed to you the fact that they have a potential liability hanging out there to the tune of $40 million that they're going to have to figure out where to drag money from.
Bunch of uneducated mushrooms. Shame on y'all.
Yeah, y'all, I can't believe y'all would even find fault in any of that ideology or thinking.
Yeah. And look, we've got several comments and questions along the same line that Brian Hebert does. How was this missed for so long? Aren't public agencies required to have independent audits annually? Well,
amazing question.
Yes.
That dude just hit it out of the park. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we should ask the auditor in general of Bossier Parish.
Yeah. What's that guy's name? Morehart.
Hadn't he?
But heck with that. Let's just ask our educated city councilman, Queen Monty himself, who has told us time and time again that he's a CPA.
We need to just look, all of us need to go enroll in LSUS and accounting. Highly recommend Sadow's classes. And because all of us are not smart enough to comprehend y'all, including myself. I mean, I'm saying these words, but I include myself with you. We can't understand the words coming out of our mouths. I mean, we don't know.
We're cavemen. Yeah,
we're cavemen. Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so I was trying to roll real quick and see if I could find Amanda, but I can in this video. So, all right. And lots of great questions. Paul Johnson says, was this a new tax in '89 that required this agreement? And if not a new tax, what is this agreement all about? I don't think, Duke, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we dug that far into the origins of this particular tax from the school board and what prompted this agreement.
No, we didn't go down the road of the tax of the school board. We haven't done the math. We're not qualified. We haven't been to accounting school. Not me, definitely not. But it's just basically the facts. I mean, and we're putting it out there. I'm hopeful. I got to be honest with you. Y'all all tagged 3, 6, and 12. We chum the water up for all of y'all. We hope that they go do the digging. We hope that they make all of their elected officials fess up that there is a question regarding taxes and what Bossier City has submitted to the Bossier Parish School Board, because there's something there. And if they all say that there's not, then we'll see where that goes. But I don't think they're going to say that there's not a question.
Yeah, so Sadow's commented the budget has more than 2 million fewer in sales taxes for 2025 and forecast 2024, maybe because the city will have to start giving the proper cut to the Spirit School Board. Miss Ann Price, good to see you, Miss Ann. She says, I had 15 hours of accounting. Didn't realize how smart she is. My goodness, Miss Ann. Hold on, we got a little history here. So Greg Bell says contract signed 5 years later. The casinos come in '94 and they start the mushroom money growing. Just a theory. Interesting theory. Christopher Davis. So you're saying we're effed? Yeah, kind of, sort of. All right.
Well, there was another part of this meeting. So that there is the shock and awe for y'all. That is the information that we said that nobody else knows. Y'all heard it here first.
But we're not through with the show. Hold on.
Oh no. Oh no. There was some discussion regarding Walter Wigby Carriageway, and I think there was like a $2.5 million what did they call it?
Extension. Oh, a $2.5 million change order, right?
Change order, yeah.
Change order. That's the buzzword.
I didn't want to say it was something new, but it was a change order, right?
Yeah.
And so I went
Shall we
down.
play
That's
some of
where
that?
I got. Yeah, let's go there. Go there, play it.
Okay, so give me just a second here. Let me click the right button. And this is Colonel Crockett talking about the change order. Should be. We'll find out. Here we go.
Main Drive, Bossier City, Louisiana. Have all the councilmen gone and driven to see what you're doing with $2.8 million on this project? I have. It's a very short stint to take Citizens Bank Drive, the way I read it, to go around the corner because of a mistake to me in the design with the Walter O. Bigby Carriageway to bring a drive that goes around to one business, because the other business this is going to already has a side driveway that continues where Citizens Bank is right now. So for about 150 yards, it looks like, at the most, you're spending $2.8 million for a driveway to one business. That was a design flaw with the whole way that this project ended. That is my comment. Why would you spend $2.8 million on one project that was a result of a mistake? You could spend less than that by looking at the design. So every citizen in Bossier City should go look at this situation that's occurred because of this. Look at the pictures that are associated with this link on the website. It doesn't even portray the situation that's as messy as it is because of the structures that are already on that small piece of land. And I don't even know if the $2.8 million includes paying for the land to complete this project. So I believe this is a waste. It does need to be rectified. It did hurt a city or a business that's in that one business that I think came up in a previous council meeting, but I believe that everybody in Bossier City needs to write to their city councilman about this project.
And look, before we continue the comments, I would just encourage everybody. It's over there on Benton Road, kind of by Acadiana Mortgage, not far north of Acadiana Mortgage, where the new red light is, the speed trap area. Just north of that, Citizens Bank Drive, and what's in there? Is there Power Equipment Place or Scott's Audio and all that's right there in that kind of little area?
Yeah,
Okay.
Definitely. That's it.
Right there. All right. But Queen Monty himself was not through commenting today.
Oh no.
Oh no. Here we go.
Is there any other public comment? Any comment from the council?
Yes. Mr. Jacobs, you weren't a part of this during the negotiation process, but we had certain restrictions placed upon us for the construction of this by Louisiana Department of Transportation. Is that correct?
That is certainly correct at
And
multiple locations and multiple times.
And involved having to purchase businesses,
Correct.
restitution to businesses.
Correct.
And it was not our mistake nor anyone's mistake for Citizens Bank Drive. It was negotiated so that we didn't have to buy more businesses because of the restrictions by DOTD placed upon us. Not a mistake. Am I correct in that statement?
Absolutely.
And the Citizens Bank Drive, again, had to be built so that we did not get involved in litigation due to DOTD restrictions. I'm saying that over and over so that,
Citizens Bank Drive and the change order is a direct result of the requirements, restrictions, obligations that were placed on, mandated upon the city by the Department of Transportation and Development.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's stop it right
Stop.
there. Yeah, because I have a sneaking suspicion it ain't just about $2.8 million, is it, Duke?
Mandated. See, that's why I don't want Charles to go nowhere. He said mandated by DOTD. Now, all of y'all following, y'all, we're going to have to take you down a walk on memory lane. And I hope you have the fortitude to hang in here to go through all this. And when I say a walk down memory lane, I have to take you back all the way to the Shed Road crossing debacle.
Oh,
Do you all remember the Shed Road crossing debacle? Do y'all remember that? And do you remember the significance of that?
I remember us talking about it on more than one occasion right here on good old Bossier Watch.
That's right. That's right. So what y'all are seeing here is, I mean, again, and I, look, we're supposed to understand our audience, and I understand that all of y'all are not educated accountants from college, and you probably all need to go back so that you can function in life and not have to be dependent on people like the Queen. I mean, I get that. So I'm going to do my best to dumb it down for all of you ignorant people, as the council would have you believe. But the bottom line is the Shed Road crossing, and we showed that in detail on the show, was a result of we laid it at the feet of Manchac, because as you recall, when it came to be that the required what would you say, the required from UP, Union Pacific, the required permissions to move forward were not attained for some inexplicable reason. When Tommy Chandler came into office, and I'm giving Tommy a pass, and I hate to give Maggio a pass here, because Maggio has thrown in completely 100%, but so I'm going to limit it to say Tommy Chandler, Chris Smith, and Brian Hammonds, they were thrown into this by all these other jackwagons. Maggio isn't given a pass because Maggio was 100% in. He was on board 100% with all of this. But this was when they all first took office, and all of a sudden, the former engineer, Mark Hudson, was kind of out the door, right? And Manchac was the new hot thing. All this kind of was right when Tommy came in. Now, granted, could Tommy not have moved forward with letting the project of the second phase of Water Road Bigwig? Yeah, he probably could have. But when you've got all these attorneys, when you've got all these people telling you that everything is good to go, ready to go, and he didn't have all of the tools to be able to stand up, in my opinion. I'm throwing Tommy a bone here, and I'm giving him a little bit of a pass. Ultimately, at the end of the day, he doesn't get a pass. But I don't know. My opinion is that they wasn't 100% forthcoming with him. So they got him to get this thing going, and as it would turn out, the prerequisite permits from Union Pacific for Shed Road, they weren't there. Manchac tried to put it off on what was it, ITB, NTB?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they tried to put it off on that other little company, and by the way, I have the emails from. I think we got them from DOTD, and I have them in our comments, and we can show them here in just a minute. If Ruttenbuck or Manchac, if y'all want to dispute it, I can start pulling all those emails up. I have them here and at the dialogue going back then. But as to, I'll just say it like it is. Ruttenbuck, we have your email acknowledging to DOTD addressing the issue in order. I think it was 1, 2, and 3, 2 being the median on Benton Road, as well as I think it was number 3 being the Shed Road crossing, responding to DOTD, that those were not resolved, acknowledging that. I mean, my point is, and people, I'm sorry, I'm rambling here just a little bit because this is some really technical stuff, but Montgomery here is saying basically, he's trying to say that ignorance and bliss and nobody knew and mandates by DOTD and whatever, that's all smoke and mirrors. That's bullshit. They knew. They knew. I don't think Tommy Chandler knew. I don't think it was conveyed to him. But they all knew that it was bullshit and that the prerequisites were not done. But why? The why is because they needed the money to keep flowing. They needed the job to get moving. They needed to get it going. And I mean, we've got it all right here in the notes. I think we should just go. We need to start going through it and plugging all this for everybody to see themselves. This jackass is saying that you need to go get a college education, and otherwise you should shut the hell up. Is bullshit.
Yeah, complete BS. So, all right.
And
where do we want to go?
These people want to continue to be in control and run Bossier City. I mean, and you as the citizens, whether you agree with us or not, whether you don't I could care less if you like me. I don't give a damn if you like me. That's fine. But at least be honest with yourself and look at this stuff. Research this. And you tell me I'm a liar and tell me it's not true. I can show you ask me for any one and I'll send it to you. I'll shut up. I'm sorry.
All right. So let me kind of yank us, speaking of the railroads, back on track just a little bit. So the Citizens Bank Drive extension is $2.8 million, right? That's what they just said, correct?
Okay.
That's the numbers being thrown around, correct?
Now let's clarify, because some people have been saying, they said, oh, hey, they've already approved that money. This is an additional $2.8 million. Well, I'm almost, I will say 98% confident that this 2.8 million is a part of the 6 million that was appropriated to build the lift station and the extension. Now, yes, there's a change order, and I think that change order is to include a little bit of a cut of a road to take care of Scott's audio. So, but the question is, David Montgomery, if you go back to that video, and Rex, I don't know if you cued it in the video, him making a comment regarding the median and cutting off that business or whatever. Was that a part of this?
Well, no, but I can pull that up real quick. Because that was technically different. That's about the median that was in the middle of Benton Road, which is not, I don't think was a part of this 2.8/6 million.
Well, it's pertinent because I think the amendment that they are doing on this 2.8 million is to include a change order that does something for Scott's Audio. And it's nothing. Look, I know Scott does a good business, has done for a long time. It is a great business, and I want Scott to succeed. This is absolutely zero, nothing, nada to do with Scott. But the bottom line is, and I'm going to say it, Councilman Montgomery wants all of you to think that somehow or another, somebody, somehow or another, in DOTD, the bad guys, dropped this ball. That's bull crap. Or that they somehow or another sought to screw Scott's Audio, or that somebody dropped the ball and you're part of the problem and you're the why. He wants to feign that somebody else's fault. He was at fault, and we can show it. And this is the part that goes back all the way to 2020.
Okay, so I've got the Scott's Audio median queued up, and I've got the 2022 $6 million approval queued up. Which one do we want to go to first?
Just pull them up one at a time and let's go through them and we'll explain to people. They're probably not going to be in order, but I'll do my best to kind of try to articulate what we're looking at.
This is Queen Monty's soapbox on the Scott's Audio median in the middle of Benton Road. Here we go.
Question on Benton Road with the newly installed raised curbs, whatever you want to call it. Scott's Audio, you're familiar with that building?
Yes, sir.
He's been there, I don't know, 25 or 30 years, and you cannot make a left-hand turn in his business. I mean, if you're heading north, how do you get into his business? You can't. I've never in my life seen someone a long-standing business, taxpayer. We actually, whoever it is, just, by God, go out there and build a wall and say you can't get into the man's business. I
built a wall.
I went out there and walked with him today, and
who knew?
How did that happen?
Who knew? Trump came in and built a wall.
We all know the origins, but I don't think that's legal. I mean,
wait,
is that right?
How did that happen? How did that happen?
It's a median, folks. You can drive. It's where the red light is for the new speed trap and carriageway. It's that red light right there. If you're headed north at that red light, there's a median in the middle. That's new, that I think the DOTD required to be put in there or whatever. It's not a wall, it's a damn median. You can drive north. U-turns are illegal in the state of Louisiana. Do a UE and you're right back into Scott's Audio. How complicated is this?
Do all of you think that he's going to say, when the media comes to him and asks, about the $40 million and the shortfall, I mean, how did this happen? Do you think he's gonna say, how did this happen?
Well, wait a minute. He wants to legally, this is Mr. Educated. He wants to legally force the DOTD to do something. Listen up.
Richard, I mean, you're telling a man that he can't, imagine you have a business, all right, and you're headed north on Benton Road, and all of a sudden they build a wall out there and say, that traffic can't get to the man's business. There's no way to get there.
Bullshit.
That just can't be.
It just can't be. How?
Hold on. Val Baker says it's south, Rex. No, Val, if you're headed northbound on Benton Road at that red light, you can't make a left turn if you're headed northbound directly in there. You've got to go up and around the median, make a UE, then you would be southbound and you could go into Scott's Audio and all that.
See, y'all are all into semantics here. I mean, I think y'all are both wrong.
Oh, it's east and west. All right, here we go.
I was
wrong. How could I be right? I'm uneducated.
You're uneducated.
I'm uneducated. It's east and west.
I got to judge this by whether or not Val Baker has an accounting degree. Val, what is your education level? I have to know to determine whether or not you could possibly be right.
That's right. All right, here we go. Hold on.
Put you on the spot. I think that it was a big enough thing for it to be brought up at this council meeting, that legally, I think we should force DOTD to take out the curbs in front of his access to allow someone to get in there. I mean, am I correct in that?
I think at least.
Richard's like, don't drag me into this, you moron.
What's the road? There's a road right there. Citizens Bank Drive is going to connect and come back around.
Can't get to him.
You cannot get to his business that way. I got a call from Mr. Boswell too, and actually a customer that was leaving his shop today about what it took him to get into that business now that the raised curb is there.
Well, you got to go down and make a U-turn at Green Acres Office Park. That's your only way.
Or if you're heading north, if I'm right, and you take a left on Citizens Bank, won't it come back around? It's going to connect, won't it? It's not going to connect?
I hope he never has to drive on the service roads in the state of Texas. Is all I have to say.
Well,
If he's griping about driving up 150, 200 yards and making a U-ey, you better not drive in Texas anytime soon, Queen Monty.
look, I need to know, are they operating under open meeting rules or Robert's rules here? I'm confused. I don't know how this debate is going here. I don't get it. I mean, I understand.
It's the Keystone Councilman.
I understand they're the most educated people in the room, and Brian Hammonds is trying to dribble a little bit of uneducatedness in there. I get it. I mean, I get that, but I need to know the rules of decorum here, and I'm not understanding.
All right, let's finish this up.
It connects to Green Acres Office Park.
Right.
But there's no connection to Scott's audio.
Wait a minute.
That's a vacant.
It connects to Green Acres Office Park. I mean, what the hell? He don't know shit from Shinola. And
Val Baker says, give him a city map.
He's the most damn educated person in the world. I mean, so, okay, we got to get off this, Rex.
All right, hold on.
Is there anything more substantial here?
Not really. It's just all entertainment value. David Crockett's saying, what was the date of this meeting? If you mean this meeting, it was June the 4th of 2024. June the 4th of 2024.
Okay, here's where we're going to jump around just a little bit, Rex. And I may be totally confused here, but if you'll go down in the notes, let me mark off on the notes here. Let's get on the notes.
Okay.
Take out those two. And if you'll go to the second link that I have.
The bottom of the agenda for June 16th, 2020?
Correct.
All right, give me just a second. All right, hold on. Let's see. The best way that I want to do this is this way. Bear with us just a second, folks. I got to get this set up here.
Now, you heard him just say, he said, we're connecting to Green Acres Office Plaza. And I'm going to take y'all back to June the 16th of 2020 to a motion that was made by none other than Councilman Montgomery to hire Coil Engineering to design connection to, where does that say?
Let's see. From the north end, Citizens Bank Drive extension from the north end of the existing Citizens Bank Drive to the south side of Brigham Dentist office needs to be surveyed and designed.
Oh, so when he said it's Green Acres Office Plaza, I mean, I guess that's not correct. I guess Brigham office is the correct when they had the plans drawn up in 2020.
That's a good question. I don't know. I can't answer that.
Yeah, again, I'm not educated enough. I probably got to go take some more Jeff Sadow's classes to be able to understand all of this. But I'm just saying that doesn't say Green Acres. It says Brigham's office. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
You've been wrong before. I've been wrong once or twice.
I'm seeking help. I'm seeking help from you educated people out there that are watching. I mean, he says Green Acres Plaza, although the ordinance to draw the engineering up for Coil Engineering was Brigham Dental Office. I don't know.
He's saying you got to go all the way up there to turn around. I'd have to actually pull up the map and see. I don't know.
But surely they're not tying it into Green Acres and not Brigham. Surely they haven't changed the plans inexplicably. I hope that doesn't screw anything up if somebody caught that.
Yeah, surely not. Shall we move to our next PDF link from the agenda, new business 47?
Yeah, why not? Let me mark that one off right there. Let's go to the next point and let's talk about that one.
Yeah, so this is agenda for April 7th, 2020. We're going way back in time.
Yeah, scroll on down through the agenda there, and I think if you get somewhere down in there, maybe about the new business part, unfinished, keep going, whoop.
Well,
We're adopting ordinances, keep going, I think down, down.
next page.
Hey, I got to tell you, while we're looking for that, I respect, we're still hovering over 100 people. They're following along, following this
Yeah,
bouncing
they
ball.
well, either that or they've fallen asleep and forgot that they're logged into the show, but that's okay too.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah, so let's see. Announcements adjourn. All right, I must have skipped it. Let's go back.
Yeah, the bottom line was that April 7th, 2020 was the resolutions here. Right there. Stop. You're good. Right there.
Yep.
You see there, number 8, top of the page, adopt a resolution authorizing the acquisition of property through institution of expropriation, Brigham Dentistry, Charles Smith. You know, that was part of the Citizen Bank Drive extension thing. And here again, Green Acres office spot is more. I don't know what he was talking about. Again, I don't reach the levels of education to understand, but I thought they were tying into Allison Brigham's office there, Brigham and Brigham.
Who knows what they're doing at this point? They're just spending money like it's water running through their hands. I mean, what's a few million here, a few million there when you're 30 million in interest every year and $30 million potentially to the school board that you owe? I mean, yeah, what's a few million between friends?
Okay, Patricia Dyer, I appreciate that comment so much. She says, nope, eyes wide open. Good. Because, again, most people would find all this just extremely boring, and a lot of people are checking out or have checked out.
Right.
I'm glad people are paying attention. Okay,
Okay.
Rex, the show 64 folder.
Yeah, so that's going to take me just a second, but we want to go to the show files folder for show 64, correct? We're going way
Correct.
back.
So in the last that last video that Rex showed, where he showed are we still calling him the king or the queen? Where he was saying, "How does this?"
I call him the queen, but you can call him what you want to. You can call him asshat for all I care.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's asking, "How does this happen?" I mean, and who knew? You know, right? Well,
right.
I think he was asked. I think that was a question, wasn't it? A question. He was asking. He was asking, "How does this happen?" Well, it got me to wondering, how did this happen? I mean, and I needed to go back and find the answer.
Okay, so I need to have the
10/25
October 25th, 2021 video.
There was a video in that folder.
All right.
I think we had to go back to the beginnings of our show. We were documenting things, and we weren't as, I mean, I say we're amateur now. We were really amateur then.
Really amateur then. So give me just a second. At the 9:21 mark, I'm going to try to get as close as I can because I got to do this old school. All right, so here we go. Let me hit publish.
At least the conversation with the council that this was a step we were recommending pursuing. And then with the approval of the council, we would go talk to the various stakeholders along that route, let them know what decisions are being made and how that may or may not impact their property.
Okay. So who would be tasked to do that?
Manshak will.
Manshak, okay. All right. So just for the record, you guys are going to do that. And
sounds like they're responsible to me.
Well, they were, and in fairness, they were talking about the Shed Road crossing being closed down, and who would be responsible for this project, and going and talking to the businesses along that and how it was going to affect them, right? And Darby, to his credit, I mean, see, I was fixing to say before he went to the dark side, Darby's always been on the dark side. And see, somebody's going to take a shot at me. I don't care. Look,
Right, you racist. Here we go.
We're
going to get shut down.
Freaking political correctness crap. I don't care. Whatever. I mean, but Darby was asking a legitimate question. whose responsibility would it be to go and talk to the stakeholders, which would be the business owners, regarding how it would affect them? To which Ruttenbuck, you just heard him say, it would be Manchac. It would be us. We were the ones responsible. He said it right there. So when Councilman Montgomery, and I say that with respect because he has the title, when he says, how does this happen? And you should know it happened because of you. It happened because you brought in this group, Manchac, to do a job. They didn't do the job, obviously, because had they done the job, this would have been addressed, or else the project would not have moved forward in the way that it did, leaving Scott's Audio hung out to dry with only a south access. So when you ask the question, you should look in the mirror, my friend. You're the reason that it happened.
He says it just because he's grandstanding, to quote his little buddy assistant city attorney / doesn't know if he's the attorney or not guy, Richard Ray, to quote him.
Okay, but let's not just take that for example, Rex. Go to the 7/7/2020 meeting. We're going to keep going backwards here because, folks, there's more to substantiate this. And we're not making this crap up. We're just showing y'all in their own words everything along the way. And if they want to say that they're lying and what they said is not true and we're fabricating it, by all means, give it your best shot, bro.
All right. So we want to be at the 10:05 mark, right?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. We may be a few seconds before, but here we go. Well, maybe we don't have audio with this
one. Interesting. Well,
welcome to the Bossier City Council meeting, July 6, 2020. We'll have the invocation by Council Member Scott Irwin and the Pledge of Allegiance by Council Member David Montgomery Jr. Please stand.
Heavenly Father, we thank you
for. All right, tell me where to stop.
Are you testing me on the pledge thing here?
I guess so. I'm making sure everybody's
somewhere right in here with Justin Haydell.
All right, let me go back just a little bit. Bear with us, folks. All right, here we go.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I placed on each of your desks a updated schedule and a little written update that I prepared for the project. The update kind of follows the schedule from top to bottom. So the design remains to be one of the critical path items. This is truly a critical path schedule. We're having a pretty big meeting tomorrow here in Bossier with all parties involved that are doing the design. So hopefully we can flesh some matters out and proceed accordingly. The last time I was here, I informed the council that we had made a submittal to UP on May the 6th, and that they had told us it'd be 4 to 6 weeks before we got a response from them. They actually responded while the council meeting was going on. I didn't see the response until after the council meeting, but they conditionally approved the application, which I think is good news because they don't really have any comments on the bridge. Any issues with the bridge, they said will be handled during construction with the local people that work for UP. To make sure the
being Union Pacific
during construction. The only issue they have that they reported on in the first submittal, and again in this submittal, which is not approved, is the drainage where Citizens Bank Drive is going to go, where the bridge lands on the flat land over there by Citizens Bank Drive. The design calls for what they call a special ditch, and UP doesn't like it because the water flows from that ditch to their ditch. And it's just an issue that we're going to have to deal with.
So That's a familiar term, Citizens Bank Drive, and that ditch over there.
Sure enough, well, that is not, and I don't know how to get you to the point. 10:05. I don't know why or what that mark. Basically, at the 10:05 mark, which I had, and I don't know what it corresponds to or why I got 10:05, but he starts explaining to David Montgomery about the DOTD changes. And it's back where you were, and it was brief. It wasn't long, but it was somewhere right in there, and that's what I wanted to focus on.
All right, well, let's play it. We'll run it on through for a second.
Reported on in the first submittal, and again in this submittal, which is not approved, is the drainage where Citizens Bank Drive is going to go, where the bridge lands on the flat land over there by
Bear with us,
Citizens
folks.
Bank Drive. The design calls for what they call a special ditch, and UP doesn't like it because the water flows from that ditch to their ditch. And that's just an issue that we're going to have to deal with and figure out another way to do the drainage. Hopefully, after we have that resolved and resubmit to them, it'll be approved. There will be one more submittal to make after this next one, which is called the final submittal, which they tell me should only take them 2 weeks to approve. So I've got plenty enough time on the schedule for us to obtain the permit from them.
All right, come on.
Then you have all of the utility relocations. You can just, a new addition to the schedule is DOTD permits. We met with DOTD the day after.
Okay, there we go.
I was here last time on June the 7th.
Listen up, folks.
And come to find out, we have to get actually 6 separate permits from them. You need a permit for 3 separate locations on the project: US 80 at Hamilton Road, Benton at Shed, and Benton at Walter O. Bigby. And they're different types of permits, so it totals 6 permits. The levy board permit, we're still working from them. Of course, DOTD is their review agency, and they're involved in that in the core with the levies and all. DOTD made a pretty substantial submittal to us based on their review of the drawings as they stand now, which we'll be discussing those tomorrow and addressing those. And the Corps wants another seepage analysis done, which we've got Arteman and Associates.
I think that's good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to sleep now.
No, yeah, that's fine. The bottom line is he is acknowledging that Manchac was the ones, DOTD's requirements on, Montgomery asked, he was like, how does this happen? Well, I mean, it happens because you chose and pushed to have a, public-private partnership with a company. And, you can say all day long that the former engineer of the city, Mark Hudson, was responsible for all this stuff, and he dropped the ball because at some point there was an inference that this, was kind of his fault, or maybe that it fell through because of him. Well, that's total utter bullshit. Share my screen, Rex.
All right.
Because we're going to share some email correspondence that we got, and I don't know if you can zoom in or blow that up or whatever, but as you will see at the you can't see it on that.
Not really, but hold on. I might can get it over there. Let's see. No, you'll have to scroll up if you're trying to get the yellow.
Yeah, okay. So,
yeah, because I'm maxed out.
You see the bottom line. This was communications between Manchac and I can't remember exactly who it was, but you see the points they're talking about here. See the attached. You see the number 1. Has the city heard more from Union Pacific? I think this is dealing with DOTD. And if I remember the email correctly, we have them all. And, they recognized that there was an issue with Union Pacific. Ultimately, we lost the Shed Road crossing to UP. And because, the city and Manchac, all without Manchac taking responsibility, tried to put it off on somebody else as the reason we lost it, but they moved forward with this Walter O. Bigby carriageway, knowing full well that they didn't have the permitting process. They didn't have the permits to move forward. So when they say, and Councilman Montgomery says, that how did this happen regarding the median on Benton Road, see this number 2 highlighted?
Yeah. See attached email.
At the same time, you, the citizens
Proposed
of Bossier,
median.
we're all getting screwed on the Shed Road thing because, permits were not required. There were also discussions already on the Benton Road stuff regarding Scott's Audio. So a change order today, of here we are 2024 of $2.8 million or whatever, trying to fix the problem of Scott's Audio or partly, or maybe that's not accurate. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why you saw the dialogue of Council Montgomery in a previous meeting bloviating about how does this happen. Well, he freaking knew all along. In fact, I think in one of these, if you go up, Rex, to it may be in the notes here, this 9/20 of 2022 meeting, I think it's correct. Councilman Montgomery was acting as the president. I may be wrong here, but
I'm not, 9/20. All right, I've got that one queued up. Hold on.
Yeah, and stop sharing screen. Let me go to the next link here. Let me get this pulled up.
All right. So no, at the 9/20 of 2022 meeting, Darby was acting president.
So, okay, share screen again. Right. So at one point there was this suggestion that Mark Hudson dropped the ball. That's totally not true. The dates on that previous email that I just showed just before was like a day or just a little bit before this, to which this email here you show Ben Rauschenbach with Manshak is acknowledging to who is this? Somebody with I'm going to say this is DOTD, but Louisiana.gov, acknowledging that Mark Hudson is no longer with the city of Bossier. He retired about a year ago. He didn't have nothing to do with it. But that Justin Haydell and Todd Thompson, who are Manshak people, that they were the ones that were responsible for dealing with all this crap. Mark Hudson been gone a year.
Yeah.
He'd been gone. You can't put it off on him.
All right, so summarize what this means to the average Bossier watcher out there.
It's the same. It's the same thing as this crap about hiding from the public the fact that there's an audit ongoing regarding a potential shortfall of tax dollars that were supposed to be collected by Bossier City and transmitted. Somewhere along the way, according to our sources, the calculation was changed, resulting in allegedly a $40 million shortfall from Bossier City to the Bossier Parish School Board. And I got to tell you, I don't know. I think that probably if there was a agreement between the sheriff's office and or an agreement between any other government entity, those other government entities, you probably ought to be checking Bossier City, because the school board damn sure is. They've had an auditor pouring through documents now for a while, and the alleged number is to the tune of $40 million. Now,
that might interfere with the police pay raises. I'm just saying.
Look, to the police and the public safety, I would say you guys, you've got a moral obligation. You don't have to, and I wouldn't condemn you, and I wouldn't say anything to you if you did anything different. I mean, you need to look out after yourself. But The problem is you've got elected officials in Bossier. They're playing from the bottom of the deck, including, regardless of what you want to say, if Vince Maggio has an ounce of integrity, he would come forward and he would say, you know what? It's true. There is an audit going on. There has been a problem that is going on, but the thing is he won't do it. He will not do it because he's going to carry the water of the Queen. He's going to carry the water of all the old guard, and therefore he's one of them. And if any of you all think that he's got your back, I mean, I'm sorry, he's not.
No, not at all.
It's like in that last meeting, he said, we're talking about that woman that was being appointed to the head of Parks and Recreation. He was on audio saying, when she said, I stand with you, talking about the audience, he can be heard in the background saying, I stand with y'all.
Yeah.
He was saying he didn't stand with you, the public. He stands with y'all, the people up there on the board.
Well,
I mean,
the pickings are getting
that's
slim.
not what it's about to be a public servant.
The pickings are getting slim.
And I've considered all these people over my life to be friends. I have. But I got to tell you, I mean, if you're willing to turn your back on the citizens and you're not going to stand with them and you're going to stand with these asshats in a tie that have not been forthcoming to the public, I don't stand with you. You're not on my team. We're not on the same team. We don't believe in the same things.
I would agree. And so we're talking about all this money and potentially all this money that might be owed. Let's get to the salary study real quick. Here we go. This will take just a couple of minutes and we'll start wrapping up. But this is important because this is where the actual numbers from the salary study get revealed. This is the October 8th City Council workshop.
Let me ask a more specific question.
Well, it was supposed to be. Hold on. Hopefully my internet connection is not dropping for some odd reason. Let me try this again. Hold on, folks. Houston, we may have a problem. All right, well, let me just summarize. The Bossier City is about 7% under comparable towns or cities of its size in police pay. It's about on par in the fire department area, but in the police, we're 7% under. And in that same meeting, Amanda Nottingham mentioned that 63% of city employees are below market minimum. Did you know that, Mr. Lowry? I mean,
I did not know that.
That is just an amazing stat. Let me try one more time. Let's hear them say it. Here we go.
Let me ask a more specific question then, since we have most of them sitting in this room. Mm-hmm. What was your determination on our police department?
So what we did for the police and the fire, both of them, is we went and got
just
regional.
Police right now. Let's don't talk about fire.
Okay, sorry.
Let's just do police.
Well, we used the same methodology for both groups. We went and we sat with the chief, and we determined a list of what we would call peer police departments, or what would be our primary competitors for police officers whenever we're trying to recruit and things like that. We went out, we got all those salaries, and we compared them directly one-to-one with your police officer salaries, not including state supplemental pay. So it's an apples-to-apples comparison with each of these groups. And with that peer group, they are 7% behind the peer group.
Y'all heard that? 7% behind. Yet they can spend $400,000 basically on a stupid monument to themselves and all those other things we've been griping about. Chris Smith asked about, well, what about cost of living? This is important too.
The way it's been.
Could instituting policies like cost of living adjustments keep us from kind of falling behind the 8 ball? So,
They can, but you need to be careful with cost of living adjustments because there are a lot of municipalities, parishes, cities that use cost of living as sort of a political tool. They don't tie it to an index directly, and they just sort of, hold their thumb up in the air and say, oh, maybe 3% this year, or 2% this year, or if it's an election year, 6%. You know what I'm saying? And it's tough and that can really hurt you actually in your pay scale system because it can cause you you can inflate yourself a little too far. So if you are going to do a cost of living or institute an annual cost of living increase, I would highly recommend you tie it to an indices. That's pretty, well accepted. We like the Social Security Administrations because it takes a year in total and then applies that as a cost of living.
Correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you mention tying those pay raises to an indice in the past?
Well, what I talked about was tying it to the Southern average.
Yes.
That was what I talked about. I said, tie police and fire salaries, pin the city's salaries for those positions to the Southern average. And, that's not, I don't know, it's the same as what he's saying, but that was what I said.
All right.
Let's take that budget for that.
Well, let's listen to Miss Nottingham tell us about the market minimum.
We showed 63% of our employees are below the market minimum.
Wait, let's repeat that. Listen carefully. As a matter of fact, let me back it up a couple of frames here, make it a little clearer.
Study showed 63% of our employees are below the market minimum.
I think I'm going to do a video clip of that and just have her repeat that, like for a whole 30 seconds. So,
well,
here's the big thing that I want to get across tonight as we start to wrap it up. We have elections coming in March. Whether or not term limits are on the ballot or not, it doesn't matter. We have shown in excruciating detail, and will continue to do so, what these, to use your term, Duke, what these jackwagons are doing. If they don't get voted out of office this time, term limits or not, I just don't know what to do. We've got to educate all of our neighbors. We've got to educate all of our family members that live in the city and make sure when it comes time this spring to vote them out that we get fresh blood in there. The institutional knowledge is what is costing the city an incredible amount in interest, debt per capita, and everything else.
I don't know what else I can say, other than what you said. But the fact is I don't know what else it takes to show to you, the citizens of Bossier, that you have, I'm going to say it like this. I'm going to say that you have a cancer. And I'm not saying that you have a cancer that is malignant or benign. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that you've been shown. And if the cancer is enabled to stay, that's on you. You undeniably, you can't say that you haven't seen it. You've been shown it. Whether you choose to do anything about it or not, that's on you. Some people, you choose to just accept it and let it take you, or you choose to do something about it. You have a problem. That problem, it doesn't even respect you enough to enable you to have all of the information. Case in point, why do you not know? Ask yourself, why is it that you're just hearing from two regular guys on a social media show? Why are you hearing from us that there's this audit pertaining to a shortcoming of tax dollars that was supposed to be collected and transmitted to one government entity to another? why is it you're learning from two bums on a show called Bossier Watch? Why is it? Road Scholars of Stupidville. Why is it you're learning from us and not them?
Uneducated,
Yeah.
ignorant.
Yeah. And ask yourself that. And, if you think that's fine, that you just need to be deaf, dumb, and stupid, then you know what? Hey, maybe that's Chris Mushrooms. Maybe you like shit and maybe you like keeping in the dark. If that's what you like, then you know what? You deserve what you get. What did I think Thomas Jefferson had something to that extent. But me, myself, I desire and aspire to have more than that. I want better government. I want better representation. And the Crazy Duke Show, yeah, whatever. Y'all can call me batshit crazy. You can call Rex for tagging along along this thing, or I'm tagging along with him. I mean, I wouldn't do it if it wasn't for him. He wouldn't do it if it wasn't for me. I mean, but we're telling y'all like it is. It's your world. What you do with it is on you. If you choose to do nothing, if you choose to do nothing, what does it say about you?
Yeah, we can try to lead all the collective horses to water, and hopefully most of you will drink from it. And I'll say this as we kind of start wrapping up. If you want to see all the positive stuff that's going on in Bossier, because there is absolutely positive stuff, this is not necessarily the show for you. It never has been. That you can go get, watch the regular news media for all that. Watch the fluff pieces. That's fine. But we appreciate each and every one of you for letting us get on our soapbox now for 231 shows, and we average, well over 90. Our average is probably 2 hours per show. Do the math to try to show everybody what's going on. It's been our mission statement from day one, and it's going to continue as long as we are interested in doing the show.
Somebody said, Rex, and look, I had a little introspection. Somebody said the other day, they said, oh, you're one of them good government types. You're one of them good government types. And you know what? At first, I thought about that a little bit. And at first, I kind of took a little offense to it. But the suggestion is that if you're one of those good government types, you have this view of government that it should do right and that it can succeed in doing right, and that is somehow a joke. I don't subscribe to that. I subscribe to that, you know what? You can have good government. You can have government that represents the best interest of you and not the interest of individuals or specific groups. But it only works if the people who are being represented by this government or whatever, if you take a role in it, and too many of you sit on the sidelines. We've shown you and gave you the examples. It's yours. Whether you do anything with it or not, that's on you. And if you don't do anything and it all falls apart, you got to go look in your mirror. Because it's on you.
Right. Got to educate your friends, neighbors, family members, not just in the presidential election either. All right, Mr. Lowry, I am going to get some dinner.
Good night.
I didn't have crackers.
Nope. I expect you to be enrolled in LSUS, and I expect the first class to be Jeff Sadow's, one of his classes. And I'm going to check with him and make sure that you're enrolled.
I'm going to enroll online. Here we go. All right. See y'all later, folks. We're out of here.
Good night.